Chapter 821. PFFF. While Lin Yuro was frantically trying to explain, a voice rang out from the side. Lin Wanyu, who was by Linli's side, laughed. She laughed very happily. Everyone was stunned at this. However, only Lin Rei looked at her with a reproachful expression. You little girl, I haven't seen you for such a long time, and now that I'm back, you're trying to undermine me. From Linli's words, even someone with a bad brain would know what he was talking about. Everyone sighed at this. A smile of relief appeared on Lin Yuro and the others' faces. As long as Linli didn't blame them, they would already be thanking the heavens and the earth. Phew, everyone let out a long sigh of relief. Their faces were unspeakably relaxed. Looking at the changes in his disciples' expressions, he smiled and glared at Lin Wanyu. Then, he pointed at Xia Tianchen and explained, "Come, let me introduce you to someone." Huh. Hearing this, everyone stepped forward and gathered together. They looked at the person that Lin Rei was pointing at and were puzzled. Master, don't tell me you found us another junior. At this moment, Lin Wanyu curiously thought of something and asked. Silence. Lin Rei could only use silence to replace his thoughts. He originally wanted to sell a case, but it was ruined by his eldest disciple. Looking at their master's silence, everyone was stunned. Then, they understood and gave Lin Wanyu a thumbs up. Senior brothers and sisters, I'm Xia Tianchen. Master, thank you for not abandoning me. Please take care of me in the future. At this moment, Xia Tianchen quickly said. Lin Rei nodded at Xia Tianchen's quick-wittedness. Yes, the few of you will be busy in the future. Not only do you have to complete the tasks I give you every day, but you also have to teach your junior combat skills, spells, and what you're good at. Of course, no one will be taught. After all, don't bite off more than you can chew. Tianchen is still an ordinary person, so, understood, master. Without waiting for Lin Rei to finish, Lin Wanyu came to Xia Tianchen's side and looked at her junior with a kind smile. Leave the matter of junior brother to us. We promise that we will teach him well. We will definitely not let him lose face for master. Lin Wanyu promised. Yes. Master. At this time, the second disciple, estranged distance, also laughed, looking like a senior brother. We promise to teach junior brother, well, teach him well, and make him a powerhouse. Yes. Master, don't you know what we're capable to do? Lin Xianyuan stood out and patted Xia Tianchen, and said kindly, leave the matter of juniors matter to us. Do your. Seeing how enthusiastic his disciples were, Linli couldn't help but laugh. Actually, how could Linli not understand what they were thinking? Weren't they hoping that he wouldn't give them the devil training? But, it was a pity that they were wrong. Looking at his disciples, Linli chuckled and nodded repeatedly, a gratified look on his face. Not bad. With disciples like this, what more could a man ask for? As he spoke, Linli looked as though he had made up his mind about something. He said, since you are all working so hard, your master has decided that in the following period of time, I will personally supervise you and give you a demonic training program, allowing you to break through in the shortest amount of time possible. This way, you will be able to prove what you said earlier. When you go out, you won't embarrass your master. In that moment, as soon as Linli's words left his mouth, the smiles on the faces of those people instantly vanished. Instead, they were replaced with looks of helplessness, depression, and reluctance. Looking at them, Lin Rei laughed in his heart. However, as a master, he couldn't laugh out loud. Therefore, at this moment, Lin Rei felt really uncomfortable. All of a sudden, an enormous aura arrived. Sensing it, Lin Rei was taken aback. Then, his vigilance disappeared and he revealed a smile. I didn't expect to be discovered by them so soon after I came back. It seems that I'm still not strong enough. At this moment, Lin Rei lamented. Lin Rei was very familiar with the enormous auras. Among them were his two wives, Ying and Bing. As for the rest, even if he knew that Ying and Bing were here, how could Bai Qi, Dianwei, Ming, and Tian Yun not discover them? Master, mistress, and the others are here. At this moment, Lin Wanyu sensed the auras. Her expression froze. She stopped laughing and became serious. Okay. Seeing the change in Lin Wanyu, Lin Li nodded. Enough. Take Tian Chen with you and leave. Tomorrow, your master will personally come find you. Make your preparations. When the time comes, be prepared to receive your master's torture, no training. Hearing that, the others changed their expressions. They wanted to say something, but they knew that their master wouldn't change his mind easily. Besides, this was for their own good. In the end, they nodded helplessly and bowed. In that case, master, we'll leave you alone. Okay, go ahead. Glancing at the disciples, Lin Rei waved his hand and asked them to leave. He was still sitting there, waiting for them to arrive. Ying, Bing, I wonder if you're all right. The palace was empty except for Lin Rei. Thinking of his two wives, Lin Rei couldn't help but miss them. While Lin Rei was daydreaming, a voice came from outside the door. Your subordinates Bai Qi, Dianwei, Honglian, Tianyun, Ming, Bing, Kegang, Zhang Kuei, and Ying, welcome back, young master. We're here to see you. You're finally here. Hearing that voice, the corners of his mouth curled up into a nostalgic smile. Then he said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Come in. Yes. Hearing Lin Li's agreement, a hint of a smile appeared on everyone's faces. They then strode forward, entering the palace. How are you? His gaze was fixed on the door. Looking at the people who had just entered, especially his two wives, Lin Li spoke out in concern. Reporting to the young master, we are still the same as before. Everyone stood in front of Lin Li, their faces filled with respect as they nodded in response. It's just that our cultivation has skyrocketed. Bai Qi, who was the leader, said. Well, you don't have to worry about that. Lin Rei certainly wouldn't answer Bai Qi's question. After all, he couldn't say that they were all summoned by him. Then he looked at Ying and Bing and waved at them. Come here. We haven't seen each other for a long time. Why are you so distant? Oh, seeing Lin Rei's signal, Ying and Bing smiled and nodded. They obediently walked out of the crowd and came to Lin Rei's side. At this moment, Ying looked at her husband, who had disappeared for 100 years, and her eyes were filled with resentment. She didn't care about the people below and acted like an ordinary couple. After waiting for so long, her aura had become resentful. Now that her husband had returned, the resentment in her heart exploded. You still know to come back? For some reason, Lin Li was stunned. Just now, his face had been all smiles. Why had it changed so suddenly? He wanted to shut his mouth, but was afraid of angering the aura. In the end, he chose to remain silent. Every time you go out, it's for so long, and you don't take us with you. Do you know how long we've been waiting for you? As she spoke, tears welled up in Shadow's eyes. Her eyes were filled with grief as she looked at Lin Li. Cultivator, do you know what will happen to the two of us in 100 years? Maybe we won't even see you before we're buried. Sister Ying is right. You're so cruel. At this moment, Bing agreed. She was completely different from her usual cold personality. In this regard, the people below looked at the scene in front of them. Looking at the godlike young master, who was actually a henpecked husband, they couldn't help but want to laugh. But how could they dare? In order to prevent themselves from laughing, they decisively closed their eyes and turned around. As the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. Lin Rei was stunned by their actions. Then, he smiled and reached out his hands. As fast as lightning, he grabbed his two wives by their waists and pulled them into his arms. This sudden turn of events caused the shadow children to scream. Their screams were so loud that even Linley felt a bit uncomfortable. Sigh. Looking at the change in his children, Lin Rei let out a long sigh. His face was full of guilt. It's been hard on you. If it was an ordinary person, maybe it wouldn't be like what you said. Lin Rei's words made Ing and Bing fall into silence. They were just saying it. But now, they regretted it. Brother Lei, I know what you want to say. Before they could finish, Lin Rei interrupted them. I didn't think about it carefully. Don't worry, it won't happen again. This time, I came back to take you away. Really? At this moment, when they heard their husbands say that, they were shocked. Wasn't this what they were looking forward to? Looking at the surprise on their faces, Lin Rei smiled. After this matter is settled, we'll go to the inner layer of the heavenly realm. At that time, the three of us will live together. At that time. As he said that, Lin Rei, who was originally serious, revealed a trace of happiness on his face. His eyes even looked at the two women's breasts. Hooligan. Facing their husband's fiery gaze, Ing and Bing panicked. However, they couldn't help but feel happy. After all, they had the right to do so. Looking at the two women, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, he said, all right, let's talk about this later. This time, I came back mainly to settle everything. Also, we didn't solve some hidden problems for our descendants. After all, we'll all be promoted in the future. I don't want those hidden problems to come out and cause trouble after I'm promoted. Hearing this, the two women nodded in agreement and said seriously, yes. We thought about this before, but we didn't dare to do it because of your order. That's why. Oh. Hearing this, Lin Rei was shocked. However, after thinking about it, it made sense. After all, those people besieged the Xuanzong sect. Alright, this matter must be solved as soon as possible. After saying that, Lin Rei let go of the two women's hands. The two women naturally understood Lin Rei's intention. They stood up, tidied up their messy clothes, and stood to the side without saying a word. All of you, turn around. I have something for you to do. At this moment, Lin Rei looked at everyone and said telepathically. Hua Hua. Hearing Lin Rei's telepathic message, everyone turned around, activated their five senses, bowed, and did not say a word. Bai Qi, take a few people and go to the Qiankuan sect. Leave no one alive. Destroy the sect. Yes, sir. Bai Qi, who was waiting for orders, nodded and replied. Kuei Gang, take a few people and go there. Give those so-called top forces a shock. Let them know who's in charge in the realm of the gods. If anyone resists, kill them without mercy. Lin Rei said. Yes, sir. Kuei Gang replied. Alright, the rest of you who don't have any missions will stay in the sect and try your best to nurture the sect's disciples. Try your best to let them reach the ultimate god realm within 500 years. I will send you the required elixirs regularly, I understand. Hearing this, the remaining people nodded in agreement. Yes, sir. We understand. We will not disappoint you. Good. Seeing that everyone had something to do, he nodded and waved his hand to dismiss them. Go, let's get this done quickly. Whoosh, in an instant, everyone who received Lin Rei's order left the palace and rushed to various places in the realm of the gods. In an instant, the lively palace became silent. At this moment, Lin Rei was not idle. When he thought of the three corpses of heaven, earth, and man in the system, he moved the three of them out of the system. Yes. At this moment, the three corpses appeared and looked at the changes in the illusion. They were confused for a moment. However, when they saw Lin Rei sitting in the main seat, they immediately understood what was going on. The three corpses greet the young master. Thank you for fulfilling your promise and successfully bringing us out of the ancient corpse trove. The three of us will work hard for the young master from now on. At this moment, the leading heavenly corpse sensed the surroundings. He knew that this was no longer the ancient corpse trove. Regarding this, he naturally had to abide by the oath he had sworn. From now on, he would treat Lin Li wholeheartedly. Yes, hearing this, Lin Rei nodded. Alright, you don't have to be so restrained. This is my sect, the Xuanzong sect. From now on, you will stay here. As for you, Gu Feng, you will follow me. The rest of you will wait here until you reach the peak ultimate god realm. Then, you can go to the inner layer of the realm of the gods, 9th state, to look for me. Yes, we accept your orders. Although the three corpses were not willing to accept Lin Rei's arrangement, they did not dare to disobey. Chapter 822. All right. Nodding his head, Lin Rei looked at Ying and said, bring them to an empty palace and inform Yun that these three will be our Xuanzong sect's guest elders from now on. Don't disturb them. They will only appear when the sect is in trouble. Hearing these words, Shadow walked over to Lin Li and bowed respectfully. Yes. Lin Rei was stunned by Ying's action. He smiled and didn't say anything. He understood what Ying meant. Go. He waved his hand and asked Ying to bring Gu Feng and the other two out. At this moment, only Lin Rei and Bing were left in the palace. In the silent space, neither of them spoke. Time seemed to have stopped. Beside them, she continued to press down on Lin Li. Her eyes were filled with tenderness. It was as if she felt that as long as she could stay like this, as long as she quietly looked at Lin Li, she would be satisfied. Time passed, bit by bit. After an indeterminable amount of time, Lin Li finally spoke, breaking the silence. Turning his head, his eyes met Bing's. Lin Rei smiled and said, let's go. Let's go for a walk, all right. As Lin Rei's subordinate, she couldn't go against Lin Rei's words. As his wife, this was exactly what she wanted. Therefore, Bing didn't refuse. Let's go. Rising to his feet, he reached out and grabbed Ice's hand. As soon as he touched it, he felt a cold sensation. It was as though ice was a block of ice, but Lin Li didn't mind. He knew that this was because of the technique Ice was training in. Holding Bing's hand, they left the palace. They didn't leave but wandered around the Azure Dragon Palace. Although it was only a palace, it was extremely huge. One had to know that every palace here was situated on a mountain peak. The two of them walked side by side, holding hands and waving. The sun shone on their faces, and their shadows were reflected on the ground. At this moment, the two of them were like newlyweds, and the scene was very warm and romantic. Seeing that his wife didn't say anything, Lin Rei was stunned for a moment. Then, he said, "How have you been? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere?" No. Hearing Lin Rei's words, Bing snapped back to reality and quickly responded. "Life here is very good. It's just that, it's a little lonely when you're not here. If only I could always be by your side." With that, Bing leaned his body and leaned his head on Lin Rei's shoulder. Lin Rei was stunned by Bing's action. His heart was filled with guilt. This scene made him think of the time when he was with Jean Ling. At that time, Jean Ling was only waiting. It was also because she was waiting that she couldn't see the end of her life until she died. For a moment, thinking of this, Lin Rei was stunned. Tears welled up in his eyes. For Jean Ling, this was the pain of Lin Rei's life. At the side, she felt Linley's strange coldness and was stunned for a moment. Then, she knew what was going on. She knew about what happened back then and she was very happy with Jean Ling. After all, she was such a gentle person. Sigh. Bing let out a long sigh and suppressed the pain in his heart. Don't worry. This time, I will bring you guys along. After all, I probably won't come back this time. What? At this moment, Bing was shocked. She didn't expect that Lin Ray wouldn't come back this time. How could she not be shocked? At the same time, she was glad that she fought for it this time. Otherwise, you didn't hear wrong. After this time, after we go out, we will be in the inner layer of the divine world. Also known as the ninth region. After settling some matters there, we will live there. Boom, as he said that, a terrifying and violent energy suddenly rushed out. He raised his hand and clenched his fist to feel the energy in his body. As you can see, I am now at the peak of the middle ultimate god realm. If nothing goes wrong, I will be promoted to the holy world in a few hundred years. At that time, you will have to follow me. As he said that, Lin Ray retracted his cultivation and held Bing's hand even tighter as if he was afraid of losing her. So, from now on, I will be in a state of cultivation. I hope to enter the holy world as soon as possible. I understand. Bing nodded when she heard that. She wasn't very interested in whether she would stay here or not. After all, she was here to wait for Lin Ray's return. If Lin Ray didn't come back, then there was no point for her to stay here. Alright, let's not talk about this first. Look, what did I buy for you? Lin Ray didn't want to dwell on this matter. Immediately, he changed the topic and attracted Bing's attention to the gift he brought back this time. With a thought, he took out the quasi-holy tool robe that he had obtained from the auction from his storage ring. Boom, as soon as the robe appeared, a purple light instantly shot up to the sky. A huge pressure instantly rushed out with Lin Ray and Bing as the center and rushed out in all directions. At this moment, Bing's gaze fell on the robe in Lin Ray's hand. Bing's eyes were filled with surprise and curiosity when she looked at the robe. This is for me? As a peak ultimate god, she only knew about the quasi-divine realm. She had never seen such a treasure before. She was stunned for a moment when she saw that it was for her. Oh, of course, who else should I give it to if not you? Looking at his wife's stunned face, Lin Ray felt that it was funny for a moment. In his heart, this item was just a robe. As long as Bing wanted it and Lin Ray wanted to refine it, he could have as many as he wanted. Take it, this is for you. As he spoke, he passed it to Bing. Drip your blood on it and let me see if it looks good on you. Hearing this, Bing blushed and nodded. She then bit her finger and dripped a drop of blood on the robe. Suddenly, purple light shone brightly and instantly shot up to the sky. However, in an instant, the purple light was restrained and the robe's true appearance was revealed in front of Bing. Looking at the purple robe, Bing was overjoyed, especially since it was given to her by Lin Ray. She endured the blood dripping. After connecting with the robe, with a thought, the robe appeared on her body in an instant. After putting on the robe, at that moment, Bing seemed to have turned into a Wuxia fairy. Her whole body was emitting a purple light. Coupled with her fresh and refined temperament, Lin Ray could not wait to kiss her. How is it? Is the robe okay? At this moment, Lin Ray resisted the urge to kiss her and asked. Yes, I like everything my husband gives me. Bing, who was in a state of excitement, nodded repeatedly when she heard this. She liked the robe very much. Well, as long as you like it. Hearing this, Lin Ray smiled. After all, he did not let her down. Alright, let's go. Let's go and see Wanyu and the rest. They have a share in the items we bought this time. Moreover, we have to train them during this period. When we leave, we can bring them along. Oh. Hearing these words, Ice nodded. Right now, she was willing to go wherever Linley went. After receiving his wife's approval, Lin Rei nodded and walked towards the residence of the disciples at the back of the palace. At this moment, above an empty palace, Ying led Gu Feng and the other two to a stop in front of the palace door. There were 3 words written on the plaque above their heads: White Tiger Palace. Looking at the White Tiger Palace, Ying turned to Gu Feng and the other two and asked, "For beasts, Azure Dragon, Vermilion Bird, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise. Young Master's disciples live in the Azure Dragon Palace. I wonder if the 3 of you are satisfied with the White Tiger Palace?" At this moment, hearing Ying's words, everyone was stunned and immediately said, "Yes. Yes, we are very satisfied. Miss, you don't know where we used to live. Compared to this place is like heaven." Hearing his third brother's words, Gu Feng was stunned and rolled his eyes. Then, he turned to Ying and said awkwardly, "Miss, don't misunderstand. This place is already very good. Let's do it here." "Yes, let's do it here." At this moment, the Earth Corpse, who had not spoken along the way, spoke. Hearing the 3's words, Ying smiled and nodded. "Okay, in that case, let's do it here." With that, she went to the edge of the cliff and activated her cultivation method. Her peak ultimate god cultivation was instantly released, and a violent energy rushed out. Hiss. Gu Feng and the other two standing behind Ying Sheng could sense the fluctuations of his cultivation base. They were shocked. Just now, Ying hadn't revealed his cultivation base, so they hadn't been able to detect it. But in their opinion, he was at most a god sovereign or god emperor. But now, at this moment, Ying's voice exploded in the Xuanzong sect's ears. "Everyone of the Xuanzong sect, listen up. From now on, the White Tiger Palace has a master. Gu Feng and the other 2 will be the 3 guest elders of the sect. If any of you disciples offend them, you will be punished severely." At this moment, there wasn't a single person in the profound sect who didn't know about this matter. Even Lin Yun, who was the sect leader, Lin Ling, who was in the cemetery, Linley, Bing, and the others in the Azure Dragon Hall. Oh, this little girl really knows how to play. At this moment, Lin Rei, who was leading Bing to the residence of the disciples, heard this and could not help but smile happily. She, at the side, when she heard Ying's words, she was stunned for a moment. She wanted to say something, but Lin Rei interrupted her. "It's okay. This way, Yun will know that I'm back." With that, he did not say anything else and pulled Bing into the residence of the disciples. In the White Tiger Palace, after completing all the tasks given to him by Lin Rei, he turned around, withdrew his cultivation, and said to Gu Feng and the other 2, "If the 3 of you need anything, feel free to tell the disciples. I'll take my leave first." Whoosh, hearing Ying's words, Gu Feng and the other 2 who came back to their senses wanted to say something, but Ying's figure disappeared. He's really swift and decisive. Looking at Ying's leaving figure, Gu Feng smiled bitterly. At the same time, Ying's strength made him think of the girl who followed beside Lin Rei. If she was also a peak ultimate god, then the overall strength of the entire sect would be unimaginable. Gu Feng did not dare to think about it. "Big brother, how strong is this Xuanzong sect?" "It's just a girl, but her strength is, even more than yours. Stop talking." When he was about to say something, Gu Feng hurriedly stopped him with a serious expression. "Remember, this is no longer the place where we hide the ancient corpses. Here, Lin Rei is the king and we have to obey Lin Rei's orders. As for other gossip, let's not talk about it." Hearing this, the earth corpses and the human corpses nodded in agreement. They knew that this was no longer their territory. Here, anything could happen, especially when they saw the experts beside Lin Rei. Looking at the 2 nodding, Gu Feng smiled and returned to his usual self. Okay, let's go and see our new home. Okay, the two of them responded. Then, the three of them stepped forward and entered the place where they were going to live. At this moment, Lin Rei brought Bing to the disciples' resting area behind the Azure Dragon Palace. At this moment, Lin Wanyu was showing Xia Tianchen, their junior brother, around to familiarize himself with the environment. Seeing that they were so harmonious, Lin Rei's face showed a trace of relief. In Lin Rei's opinion, he did not expect his disciples to become experts with great achievements. He only hoped that they could live happily and harmoniously without any internal conflicts because of some things. At this moment, Lin Xianyuan felt that someone was staring at him. He immediately turned around and happened to see Lin Rei and Bing. He immediately bowed and saluted, "Disciple greets master and mistress." At this moment, Lin Wanyu and the others, who were in front of them, heard this and their bodies suddenly trembled. They turned around and saw Lin Rei and Bing. Then, like Lin Xianyuan, they immediately bowed and saluted. "Get up, there are so many rules in private." Looking at his disciples, Lin Rei rolled his eyes and walked in front of them with Bing. Looking at them, Lin Rei opened his mouth and said, "Come, this time when I came back, I did not bring any valuable things. Take a look at these things and take whatever you like." Saying this, Lin Rei waved his hand and a dozen things appeared on the ground. They were all glowing with a multicolored light. At first glance, one could tell that they were not ordinary things. The appearance of these treasures immediately attracted everyone's attention. Looking at these things in front of them, Lin Wanyu and the others smiled. "Master." Everyone thanked him and did not move. They just looked at each other. Seeing this, Lin Rei was stunned and speechless. "That's enough. I don't know you guys. Hurry up and take them back if you don't want them." Hee, of course, I want them." Hearing her master's words, Lin Wanyu and the others laughed mischievously. They were no longer reserved and began to nitpick. When looking at something, as long as it did not look good, they would not look at it. They would even say a few words, such as "this one did not look good," or "that color was not good." Hearing this, Lin Rei was stunned. Apart from a bitter smile, there was no other expression on his face. On the other hand, Bing was smiling quite happily. After a few minutes, the 6 disciples had chosen the things they liked and began to play with them. Chapter 8:23. Seeing the smiles and fondness on their faces, Linley couldn't help but smile as well. To Linley, these disciples were like his own children. Lin Rei was satisfied to see them so happy. That was enough for him. Before they could play for long, Lin Rei interrupted them. After all, his time was limited, so, all right, take these things and play with them when you have time. I'm here to give you gifts, and also to express what I told you about the training. As soon as Linley's words came out, aside from Xia Tianchen, everyone's faces turned bitter. Their faces were filled with deep feelings of rejection. As Linley's disciples, Lin Wanyu and the others had naturally experienced the collective training that Linley spoke of. It was precisely because they had experienced it that they were even more afraid of this sort of training. Because, to them, the training that Lin Rei spoke of was like sending them to the mouth of a tiger, where they would be tortured. You don't want to. Looking at their unwilling expressions, Linley was stunned for a moment before he spoke. Linley had already known that they would react this way. After all, he knew that his training would be extremely cruel and tiring. No. Hearing those words, Lin Wanyu and the other 4 all spoke at the same time, indicating that they were wrong. Following that, the bitter smiles on their faces turned into smiles. However, this sort of smile was extremely ugly, even uglier than crying. That's good. Zhang Xian chuckled inwardly as he nodded his head. Since that's the case, I'll take my leave then. Once we're in the dungeon, I'll arrange a course for you. Perhaps, if you perform well this time, I'll consider bringing you along to an interesting place. An interesting place? When they heard their master say that, they didn't immediately respond. They were afraid that there was a trap ahead. That's right. Seeing how cautious they were, Lin Rei smiled and said, "The ninth state is the most mysterious place in your eyes. This time, I'll take you there. There are experts from sects there, hidden places, and arcane pockets. There are many novel things that can help you improve your strength." Hearing these words, everyone was startled. In their hearts, they said, as expected. They didn't even need to guess to know what Linley was talking about. This was because, in their eyes, this master of theirs had no other interests other than increasing his own power and making himself stronger. Thus, Linley was able to say something new and interesting. Other than the hidden land and the secret realm, there was nothing else. Sigh, everyone let out a long sigh. Although they didn't want to go, their instincts told them that they had to go there. Under Lin Rei's influence, they knew that they couldn't rely on anyone in this world. The only person they could rely on was themselves. After all, strength was one's own. Others couldn't follow you for a lifetime, let alone protect you for a lifetime. Let's go. Lin Rei didn't care if they were willing or not. Even though he knew that they weren't willing, he still chose to follow his own wishes. After all, he knew that he couldn't accompany these disciples for the rest of his life. When he wasn't around, they could still protect him. So, oh. Yes, Master. Everyone nodded, a look of helplessness on their faces. In the end, they agreed, then followed Linley into the pocket dimension. At this moment, everyone knew that their good days had come to an end. The days that belonged to them had arrived. The following days wouldn't be easy. In the Xuanzong Sect's conference hall, Lin Yun, who was sitting on the sect master's seat, stared blankly at the entrance of the hall. His face was filled with disbelief. At this moment, a disciple was reporting the news that Lin Rei's father, Lin Rei, had returned. Lin Yun thought that he had heard wrongly when he first heard the news. But when the disciple repeated it a second time and recalled the information that Ying had told him about Gu Feng and the other two, everything made sense. Lin Yun was still puzzled when he heard Ying's words. He didn't know about the appointment of an honorary elder. Moreover, he had never heard of Gu Feng. But now, everything made sense. Sect Master, this is what happened. The old sect master is now in the Forbidden Land, so, whoosh, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. Hearing this sound, the first disciple who was reporting raised his head. When he looked at the sect master's throne, he was stunned because Lin Yun, who was originally sitting there, had already disappeared. The man was stunned and smiled bitterly. Sigh. Looks like there's nothing for me to do. Saying that, he shrugged and relaxed. Then, he turned around and walked out of the hall to do his own things. Behind the conference hall, the Xuanzong Sect's Forbidden Land was here. Of course, it was a forbidden land for the Xuanzong Sect's disciples. But for Lin Yun and the other direct disciples of Lin Rei, it was their home. At this moment, in front of the Forbidden Land, Lin Rei stood with Bing and his 6 disciples at the entrance. His face was filled with emotions. What's wrong? At the side, seeing Lin Rei stop, Bing went up and held Lin Rei's hand in concern. No. Nothing. Lin Yun nodded at Bing and patted her gently. He gave her a reassuring smile and stepped forward to enter. Whoosh, suddenly, just as Lin Rei's power entered the secret territory, the sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. Instantly, it attracted the attention of everyone in front of the secret territory. At this moment, Linley retracted his foot, and a smile appeared on his face. You're here. How could Lin Rei not know who it was? When he heard the sound of something breaking through the air, his divine sense covered a radius of 100 meters. No, the person who came through the air naturally had nowhere to hide. The person who came was none other than his son, Lin Yun. Turning around, he looked in the direction Lin Ray came from with a smile on his face. His eyes were filled with tenderness and doting. Lin Ray had always felt guilty about doting on his son, especially towards his mother, Yao, father. At this moment, Lin Yun's figure arrived and stood in front of Lin Ray. With a plop, he directly knelt on the ground, ignoring the others around him. His eyes were wet. "Father, you're finally back. I've missed you so much." As he spoke, he could no longer control his emotions. Tears welled up in his eyes and flowed down his cheeks. Lin Ray was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Yun to be like this. Sigh. When she came back to her senses, she helped Lin Yun up with a guilty expression and said, "You're already an adult. Why are you crying? You're the sect master of a sect. How can you convince others if they see you crying like this?" Hearing this, Lin Yun knew that he had lost his composure. But when he remembered that there was no one else here, he immediately let go. Looking at Lin Wanyu behind Lin Ray, Lin Yun bowed and said, "Greetings, senior brothers and senior sisters." "Yes, junior brother, crying is not a good habit." At this moment, everyone nodded. At the front, Lin Wanyu smiled and teased Lin Yun. Hearing this, Lin Yun blushed and revealed an awkward expression. He was already used to Lin Wanyu's teasing. After all, he was used to it. Alright. Looking at this scene, Lin Ray smiled and interrupted, "Since you're here, let's go together. You can train with your senior brothers and senior sisters. Let's see if you've fallen behind in your cultivation after becoming the sect master." I have to train too." At this moment, hearing his father's words, Lin Yun's face instantly turned teary. Lin Wanyu and the others knew about training. Nonsense. Lin Yun glared at Lin Yun and didn't say anything else. He stepped into the secret realm. Lin Yun was stunned for a moment before helplessly following him. But even so, Lin Yun was secretly delighted. After all, although this was a bit tiring, he felt relieved when he thought about how he could spend more time with his father. Green Cloud Mountain Range, Qiankuan Sect. At this moment, 6 people were flying in the sky as if they were walking. Their speed was as fast as lightning, disappearing in the blink of an eye. The 6 of them were filled with a violent aura. Wherever the 6 of them passed, no matter if it was a human, animal, or beast, they couldn't help but retreat. This was because their aura was too strong and they couldn't stand it. 100 years ago, the Qiankuan sect chose to close their doors after countless disciples died. However, they didn't know that they had already offended someone they couldn't afford to offend. Furthermore, a calamity had already descended upon them. In the Supreme Harmony Hall of Qiankuan sect, there weren't many people in the hall. There were only 7 or 8 of them and they all had smiles on their faces as if they were discussing something interesting. At that moment, the middle-aged man sitting at the top looked at the people below with a smile and said, "This time, after the mountain gate opening ceremony, send people to each city to recruit disciples. This time, you must make up for what happened 100 years ago, As he spoke, he stopped abruptly. The dissatisfied smile on his face turned serious as he raised his head to look at the door. His eyes were filled with doubt. What's going on? Why do I feel a few strong auras rushing towards us? It's not a feeling. At this moment, the faces of the people below turned serious when they heard the middle-aged man's words. It's true. There are strong auras that have already reached our sect. And, they don't seem to have good intentions. The moment these words were spoken, the atmosphere in the hall turned cold. They could all feel the strong auras. They weren't a match for them. none of them were a match for them. At this moment, everyone was filled with doubt. They understood why the auras were so strong towards their sect. The sect had been in seclusion for 100 years. It was impossible for anyone to offend such strong existences. However, it was true that these powerful auras had already arrived in front of their sect. Moreover, they had stopped. That powerful killing intent made their hearts tremble. Sect leader, at this moment, an elderly man with a head of white hair looked at the middle-aged man in shock. His eyes were filled with worry as he spoke to the man in the upper seat. At this moment, the man in the upper seat was none other than the sect leader of the Qianquan sect, Emperor Xian. Let's go. Although we don't know the reason, let's go out and take a look. After all, these people's auras are too strong. I'm afraid that even the sect's patriarchs might not be a match for them. Sigh. Hearing this, everyone sighed and nodded helplessly. They agreed with Emperor Xian's words. Let's go. With that, Emperor Xian led everyone out of the Hall of Supreme Harmony and rushed towards the sect gate. At this moment, a group of 6 people stopped in front of the Qianquan sect. Their faces were filled with killing intent and coldness. At this moment, a middle-aged man stepped forward and said to the leader, "Bai Qi, are we going in directly? Or?" That's right. The 6 people were none other than Bai Qi and the others who had followed Lin Rei's orders to destroy the sect. The man who had spoken was none other than Dian Wei, who had been summoned together with Bai Qi. No need. There is a sect protecting array here. Besides. Then, he glanced at Dian Wei and sneered, "Don't you feel that someone is coming?" Huh? Hearing this, Dian Wei was stunned. Then, he looked inside the array and extended his divine senses. A strong aura was rushing towards them quickly. Sensing this, Dian Wei smiled. Hee, that's true. Let's wait and see. But don't fight with me later, okay? The branch of these bastards in the immortal realm dared to attack the Xuanzong sect and they even killed Madam and young master. This revenge must be. Sigh. Looking at Dian Wei, Bai Qi sighed and nodded. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore, especially in front of young master. As for these bastards from the Qianquan sect, we know what to do even if you don't tell us. Then, the people next to him nodded at the same time. Their faces were full of hatred and murderous intent. The battle in the immortal realm was still fresh in their minds. At this moment, their murderous intent had condensed to a terrifying level. The people of the Qianquan sect who were rushing over had no idea that they were in an extremely dangerous situation. However, at this moment, not only here, but also in the outer layer of the God realm, a group of people wearing the clothes of the Xuanzong sect's elders were visiting the sects one by one. Just as Lin Rei had instructed, their purpose was to make all the sects in the God realm behave themselves. This was also to pave a safe and smooth path for Lin Yun and the others. The mastermind of the whole thing was currently guiding his disciples in the Xuanzong sect's adversity. He was living a very uncomfortable life. In the Xuanzong sect's adversity, Lin Rei was standing beside the stream, looking at the 7 people in the distance. At this moment, each of them was comprehending something. Some were refining pills, some were refining weapons, and some were sitting cross-legged with their 5 hearts facing up. They were cultivating. But there was one person who was an exception. It was none other than his eldest disciple, Lin Rei. At this moment, she was standing on the stream, facing Lin Rei. Her face was pale, her legs were trembling, and her body was bent over. She was sweating profusely as if there was a huge mountain on her back, making it hard for her to breathe. Chapter 824. Little you, hang in there. You'll be free in 2 more hours and will proceed to the next stage. At this moment, Linli, who was standing in front of Lin Wanyu, saw how hard she was working. 4. 4 hours? Lin Huanyu's body sank down to a certain extent upon hearing that. Her face was filled with shock. Master, didn't you say we only have 1 hour? Why is it now? Linli rolled his eyes at her and didn't answer her directly. Kid, I'm using the pressure of an early-stage godly exalt to suppress you. You don't get something as good as this every day. Moreover, I'm preparing for the next battle techniques you'll impart to me. Just hang in there. I promise you that the battle techniques I'll impart to you this time will be very powerful. Really? Hearing this, Lin Huanyu raised her head with great difficulty and looked at her master with a questioning tone. Nonsense. Lin Rei was stunned by his disciple's words. He said angrily, don't say such things in the future. Didn't I impart everything to you? Of course, except for those things that you can't learn. You heartless brat, your master's heart hurts when you say this. Do you know that? As he spoke, Linli pretended to clutch at his chest, as if he was in pain. However, Lin Huanyu's heart was filled with helplessness. She respected her master who was like a father to her very much, but sometimes she felt helpless too. Lin Rei waved his hand when he saw that his disciple did not respond. He continued, this matter is settled. I'll give you a specific cultivation plan. Be content. Boom, without waiting for Lin Huanyu's reply, his aura increased once again. It went from early-stage ultimate god to mid-stage ultimate god's aura. Plop. A strange sound was heard just as the aura was released to suppress Lin Huanyu. She looked down and saw that Lin Huanyu, who was originally bowing, was now in close contact with her sleeping body. If it was not for her strong cultivation base, she would have been suppressed to the bottom of the lake. However, in response, Lin Huanyu was stunned. Her face was filled with annoyance. Master, what are you doing? Why did the pressure suddenly increase? She didn't pay any attention to it. She closed her eyes and waited for the time to come. And at this moment, several people on the shore saw Lin Huanyu's current state, and their faces were filled with gloating smiles. This was especially true of the fifth brother Cullen. At this moment, Curran was holding a fist-sized rock, but it looked very heavy. His face was covered in sweat, and his clothes were soaked. Even so, Kaluan didn't forget to look at Lin Huanyu, who was lying on the surface of the lake. He smiled and said, Senior sister, you're too nice. Master is too good to you. Oh? Why do you say that? Lin Xianyuan asked curiously after hearing Cullen's words. He. Cullen chuckled and said, I don't know about that. Look, we are on the shore, sweating profusely and feeling hot. But eldest senior sister is different. Although she feels uncomfortable under master's pressure, she is not hot anymore. Everyone was speechless. At this moment, Lin Huanyu, who was suppressed on the surface of the lake, seemed to be gnashing her teeth. Moreover, even Lin Rei, who had his eyes closed, opened them after hearing this. He looked at his fifth disciple with an amused smile, and in the next moment, an idea arose in his mind. He looked up at Cullen and said with a gentle smile, Is that so? Since you think your eldest senior sister's cultivation method is good, then let's do it together. I will let you all experience the benefits of your eldest senior sister. For a moment, after hearing Lin Rei's words, everyone was stunned. Lin Xianyuan and the others looked at Cullen with hidden bitterness, as if to say, See, it's all because of your nonsense. Now it's all good. At this moment, after hearing Lin Rei's words, although he was under pressure, he still revealed a smile. Humph, who asked you to say that? Serves you right. Come. Looking at his disciples, Lin Rei smiled, then raised his hand and rotated his cultivation base. Suddenly, a powerful suction force appeared, aimed at everyone except Xia Tianchen. Suddenly, Lin Xianyuan and the others felt the suction force, and their bodies uncontrollably floated toward the surface of the lake. Splash, splash, in the next moment, the sound of bodies falling into the water could be heard. Originally, Lin Wanyu was the only one on the surface of the water, but now there was a row of bodies neatly touching the surface of the lake. Looking at them, Lin Rui smiled and clapped his hands. How is it? Are you still hot? Feeling the enormous pressure, Cullen was speechless. After saying the word he felt a hand choking his throat, not allowing him to speak. Seeing that everyone was speechless, Linley sighed. He didn't say anything else, closing his eyes and sinking into silence. At this moment, Cullen, who was lying on the surface of the water, was extremely regretful. At the same time, he felt extremely guilty. He felt guilty for his slip of the tongue, he felt guilty for implicating his senior brothers and sisters, and he felt guilty for his great senior sister. However, it was too late for regrets. Now, they could only withstand the pressure of a mid-hierarch realm cultivator. Of course, their cultivation base was higher than Lin Wanyu's. When they teleported, the pressure of a mid-hierarch realm cultivator could only be described with one word: pain. It was unbearable to be suppressed by the pressure, and their bones were starting to press against each other. This was the first time they had experienced such a level of pressure. At the entrance of the Qianquan sect, Bai Qi and the others who were waiting finally saw the 8 people arrive and land in front of them. Looking at them, before they could say anything, Bai Qi spoke first. All of you, without the Xuanzong sect disturbing you, have you been well? What? You're from the Xuanzong sect? Hearing Bai Qi's words, the Qianquan sect's disciples' faces changed and their hearts sank. They would never forget the Xuanzong sect. After all, they had brought people to the Xuanzong sect 100 years ago, but in the end, almost all of them were annihilated. Qianlong, who led the team, was also annihilated in the end. The Qianquan sect suffered a great loss because of that. Even 2 of their supreme elders died in the battle. This image was like a nightmare to them. They were like maggots that clung to their bones, unable to free themselves. Now that they heard that the other party was from the Xuanzong sect, they were instantly alarmed. They knew that the other party did not come with good intentions from their murderous aura. Looking at the vigilant faces of the Qianquan sect, Bai Qi smiled. A cold smile appeared on his face. That's enough. That war 100 years ago, you guys have basically suffered heavy losses. So, call out those old fellows from your sects who have been hiding in seclusion. Saying that, Bai Qi glanced at Dian Wei and smiled. This time, we're here to annihilate your sect. Boom! Hearing this, the minds of the Qianquan sect members went blank as though they were struck by lightning. Annihilate our sect, annihilate our sect? Why? This question appeared in the minds of the 8 of them. They had never thought of annihilating a sect, let alone the Qianquan sect. Other than doubt, the only thing left was fear. After a painful lesson, they knew how terrifying and mysterious the Xuanzong sect was. At the same time, they knew that they were no match for them. Otherwise, their supreme elders would not have died in the Xuanzong sect 100 years ago. At this moment, one of the 8 people came back to his senses. With a shocked gaze, he looked at Bai Qi and the others and said, Why? Why do you want to annihilate our Qianquan sect? We have not done anything to let down the Xuanzong sect or the people of the Xuanzong sect. Why do you have to be so aggressive? Why? Yeah. Why does the Xuanzong sect have to go against our Qianquan sect? We have not done anything wrong. Why do you have to? Ha ha ha. While the Qianquan sect members were retorting, Bai Qi could not help but laugh out loud. Why do you have to go against the Qianquan sect? You have not done anything wrong? Looking at them, Bai Qi scolded coldly, I'm afraid you guys do not know that the Xuanzong sect and the Qianquan sect have a blood feud. We cannot live under the same sky. Huh. Upon hearing this, the mystic, the arch and the others were confused. What blood feud? What irreconcilable hatred? They had no idea at all. They were even more confused. How could they not know that they had offended such a powerful being? But now, hold on, senior. Since when did the Qiankuan sect have a blood feud with the Xuanzong sect? The mystic emperor spoke up hurriedly. Even if we are going to die, we should at least give the criminals a chance to explain themselves. You're making us confused like this. We're not happy about it. Yes, we're not happy about it, we're not happy about it, angry voices could be heard. Bai Qi was taken aback. His face was filled with confusion. F***ck, what the F***ck are you guys playing at? We're here to annihilate your sect, not to listen to your complaints. Damn it, you're just like a woman, dilly-dallying. You guys are elders or sect masters of a sect. Can't you guys be more straightforward and release the sect protection formation? Let's have a real battle between men. Jian Wei could not help but speak up. In response to Jian Wei's words, Bai Qi and the mystic the arch rolled their eyes at him and let him experience it himself. At the same time, Bai Qi was anxious about Jian Wei's intelligence. He knew that they were here to annihilate the Qiankuan sect, but he still wanted them to activate the sect protection formation. Wasn't that nonsense? Ignoring Jian Wei, Bai Qi turned to the mystic emperor and said, "There's no need to say anything more. Die. We don't have much time left." You guys, the moment he heard these words, the mystic emperor knew that there was no turning back for this matter. The mystic emperor froze for a moment before taking out a jade letter. Crushing it, a beam of light shot out towards the depths of the heaven and earth sect. Bai Qi did not stop the mystic emperor. Instead, his face was full of smiles. That's good too. It saves us a lot of time. Before the mystic emperor and the others could react, Bai Qi reached out with his peak ultimate god cultivation base and slapped the sect protection formation in front of him. How dare you, Kacha! A strange sound was suddenly transmitted into everyone's ears. They saw that a crack had appeared on the spot where Bai Qi had slapped the sect protecting magic array. What? This? Emperor Xian's face turned solemn when he saw that. He knew the sect's formation very well. Even a late ultimate god would not be able to crack the formation with just a slap. But now, this could only prove one thing. The strength of the person in front of him had definitely surpassed the peak ultimate god realm. He was at least a peak ultimate god or a half-saint. At this moment, the mystic the arch truly felt the aura of death. Suddenly, the mystic the arch saw the Grim Reaper smiling. The Grim Reaper's scythe was already on his neck. It was as though he could be taken away at any moment. Damn it! Are you serious? Jian Wei, who was standing aside, suddenly exclaimed when he saw Bai Qi's action. Damn it! Old Bai, are you going easy on us? Huh? Bai Qi was stunned and looked at Jian Wei in confusion. What do you mean? Look at you. Looking at Bai Qi, Jian Wei stepped forward and pointed at one of the runes on the protective array. He said helplessly, "This can't be all you're capable of, can it? You could have smashed this array and killed all of them. Then, we would have gone back as soon as possible." You. Bai Qi rolled his eyes and glanced at Jian Wei helplessly. Then, he ignored Jian Wei and slapped again. At this moment, Bai Qi increased his strength from 2 layers to 6 layers. Whoosh! As Bai Qi's slap fell, a burst of air-piercing sound was heard. The mystic emperor who saw Bai Qi's reckless action felt that this time, the sect protection formation in front of him would. Bam, Kacha! Bai Qi's palm once again landed on the crack. This time, the crack expanded once again and began to spread out like a spider web, densely packed. How is this possible? Did he not use his full strength before? Seeing this, the mystic emperor was stunned, scared, and dumbfounded. He never thought that this would happen. He never thought that his sect protection formation could not withstand 2 slaps from the enemy. Looking at the fearful mystic the Arch and the others, Bai Chi's lips curled into a smile. Then, he raised his palm again. This time, Bai Chi used all his strength. Break! With a low roar, he activated his cultivation technique and channeled the spiritual energy into his palm. Then, he slapped down without holding back. Bam! Kacha! Kacha! The moment the palm landed, the entire heaven and earth sect exploded. The sect protecting formation that the heaven and earth sect was so proud of was completely destroyed. 3 slaps. With just 3 slaps, the protective formation of their sect was shattered. To everyone in the Qiankuan sect, including their seniors, this was undoubtedly a huge blow. This was a humiliation. Die. Chapter 825. As he said that, Bai Chi channeled his cultivation into his palm. The moment he smashed the protective formation of Qiankuan sect, he didn't stop. He didn't use any battle techniques nor did he use any skills to increase his strength. Bai Chi's simple and unadorned palm slapped towards the old man beside the mystic the Arch. It was so fast that before the mystic the Arch and the others could react, Bai Chi's palm had already arrived in front of the old man. Looking at the palm right in front of him, the old man's face changed. He was filled with fear. He could feel how terrifying this palm strike was. If he was hit hard enough, he would be severely injured, if not dead. Of course, he wanted to dodge. He was afraid that he would be hit. But, he couldn't dodge the attack that was right in front of him. Seeing this, the old man's heart skipped a beat. Without caring about anything else, he raised his hands to protect his head. The head was a headache for every cultivator. That was because the head was the weakest part of the body. If he was hit, the consequences would be unimaginable. Can you dodge it? Looking at the old man's actions, Bai Chi was stunned. He then snorted coldly. Suddenly, he increased the strength of his palm. Bam! A strange sound rang out. At this moment, he was pushed back with a dang 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 sound. A red palm print appeared on his face, and blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Ugh! After retreating a dozen meters, the old man stopped his body with difficulty. He felt something strange in his mouth. He immediately spat out the strange thing in his mouth. He spat out a few teeth that were covered in blood. At this moment, his mind was buzzing. His mind went blank as pain spread through his entire body. See. This scene caused Emperor Xian and the others to suck in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. One had to know that the old man who was pushed back was the 3rd elder of Qiankuan sect. He was in the early stages of hierarch realm. And right now, with just a single move, a simple slap without any battle techniques or spells, he was able to force the Qiankuan sect back. Furthermore, he was injured to such an extent. At this moment, all of them knew that the Qiankuan sect was in grave danger. Top sect, Qiankuan sect. With a cold smile, he looked at the mystic the Arch and company and said, "Such a sect dares to call itself a top-notch sect? I think it's just so. Well said, old Bai. You've always been a nice guy, but now you've become a sharp-tongued one. Not bad." Jian Wei clapped his hands and cheered after hearing Bai Chi's words. Listening to the Xuanzong sect's humiliating words, she suddenly blushed and her face turned red. As the saying goes, you can be angry but don't dare to say anything. Perhaps this was what it meant. Is your Xuanzong sect really going to fight to the death with my Qiankuan sect? The mystic the Arch still wanted to fight for it. After all, the battle 100 years ago had already caused the sect to suffer great losses. Furthermore, the enemy this time was so unfathomable. He. Speechless, Bai Qi and the others were speechless and did not reply to the mystic Thearcha's question. How annoying. If you don't do it, I'll do it first. Suddenly, Dian Wei moved as if he was venting his anger. Boom, a terrifying and violent cultivation instantly rushed out and enveloped the mystic Thearch and the other 7 people. From the looks of it, it seemed like he was going to challenge all of them by himself. Whoosh, he moved. Dian Wei's body flashed, and he instantly disappeared from where he was. Heh, you're too impatient. But that's fine too. Let's finish this quickly. Bai Qi was stunned to see Dian Wei's reaction. Then, he smiled and ignored him. Where did he go? At this moment, the mystic Thearch and the others panicked when they saw Dian Wei disappear. They immediately released their divine senses to search for the man who disappeared. Humph, a bunch of old bastards. Go to hell. When the mystic Thearch and the others were about to release their divine senses, a furious roar suddenly came from behind the old man who was slapped away. What? Hearing the voice coming from behind him, the old man was instantly shocked. At this moment, he felt that he was being targeted by a venomous snake that could kill him at any moment. When the old man heard the voice behind him, he subconsciously turned his head to check. However, when he turned his head to look, he was met with a fist the size of a sandbag, which came crashing down on his face with a destructive force. With a loud bang, the old man lost his sense of pain in the next moment. He didn't even feel the pain before he lost consciousness. The old man's head was blown up by Dian Wei's punch. Blood and brain matter instantly burst out and flowed down from Dian Wei's forehead. You. The mystic Thearch and the others trembled when they saw the bloody scene. They couldn't help but take a step back. At this moment, they finally realized that they were not at the same level as the people of the Xuanzong sect. How powerful must one's cultivation be to blow up an early-stage ultimate god with one punch? Hee, you're too weak. Dian Wei muttered disdainfully while looking at the old man who was blown up by him behind the old man. Seeing Dian Wei's reaction, Bai Qi was stunned and felt very helpless. He couldn't accept Dian Wei's bloody way of solving the problem. Whoosh! Bai Qi disappeared from where he was and reappeared next to Dian Wei. He glanced at Dian Wei and then aimed at the corpse on the ground. He reached out his hand and an irresistible suction force appeared. Ah! You'll die a horrible death. You. At this moment, a little man who looked exactly like the dead old man appeared. How dare you hide, you little trickster? I've said that the Qianquan sect must be wiped out cleanly. Bai Qi said coldly and then took the old man's divine soul into his palm. He exerted a little force and the old man's divine soul was crushed in his palm. The beginning completely destroyed the last glimmer of hope in the mystic Thearcha's heart. The old man's death made him realize that there was no way to reverse the situation. Kill them all. Leave no one alive. Looking at the mystic Thearch and the others who looked extremely upset, Bai Qi said to the other 4 people. Hee, I've been waiting for this. Hearing this, the other 4 people who didn't make a move clenched their fists and instantly released their powerful cultivation. Whoosh, 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 they disappeared instantly. The 6 of them were all great perfection ultimate gods. It was a piece of cake for them to deal with early or mid-ultimate gods. His figure disappeared from the spot. At this moment, everyone was completely panicking. They were afraid. Everyone had a frightened look on their faces as they released their divine senses to explore the surroundings. Their eyes were constantly scanning the surroundings. They were afraid that if they were careless, they would end up like the old man and die without even knowing how they died. The killing has begun. Enjoy the killing atmosphere as much as you can. Bai Qi sneered when he saw the mystic Thearcha's terrified expression. There was no chance. The mystic Thearch and the others ignored Bai Qi's words. It wasn't that they didn't want to, but they were afraid. They were afraid that someone would suddenly appear behind them and blow their brains out. Are you looking for me again? At this moment, Ming appeared behind a middle-aged man from the Qianquan sect and looked at him with a smile. You. The middle-aged man quickly turned his head. When he saw Ming smiling at him, he felt as though the Grim Reaper was waiting for him. You, don't do this. I surrender. I surrender to the Xuanzong sect. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I beg you. The mystic the Arch, who was in danger, heard his own sect's elder begging for mercy. At this moment, the mystic Thearcha's eyes were filled with murderous intent. He couldn't wait to kill the middle-aged man. Bastard! She cursed and ignored him. At this moment, she was like a clay Buddha crossing a river. She couldn't even protect herself, how could she care about others? Running away at the last minute. I can tell that you're not a good person. Now that you're willing to betray your own sect, when the Xuanzong sect is in trouble, I'm sure you'll choose to betray them too. What's the point of keeping such a disloyal and heartless person? After saying a bunch of high-sounding words, there was only one word left. Death. Ming had already decided on the outcome of the Qianquan sect. Death. This was an order given by Lin Rui. No one could change it. No one could. No. Hearing Ming's words, the middle-aged man's body trembled. His face was filled with fear. Die. Ming ignored the middle-aged man's pleas. He circulated his cultivation and punched the middle-aged man's head. Kneeling on the ground, the middle-aged man saw that the outcome didn't change. Instantly, his face turned gloomy. Since you're not giving me any leeway, don't blame me. After saying that, the middle-aged man retreated. His Dan palace circulated in reverse. Waves of destructive energy rushed out of the middle-aged man's body. At this moment, the middle-aged man's body started to change. The middle-aged man was like a balloon. He started to inflate bit by bit. The speed wasn't fast. His eyes were bloodshot and looked terrifying. Ming was stunned when he saw this. He sneered, You want to self-destruct? You'll have to see if I agree to it first. Ming could only say that the middle-aged man was too stupid. It wasn't like he hadn't seen such a situation before. Swoosh, with a flash, he disappeared from where he was. The middle-aged man was stunned when he saw this, and his face was filled with shock. Did he escape? Seeing that there was no one around, the first thought that came to the middle-aged man's mind was that Ming had escaped. Escape? If I don't kill you, how can I leave? At this moment, while the middle-aged man was puzzled, a voice filled with killing intent came from behind. The middle-aged man was stunned. He turned around and wanted to attack. Die. However, at this moment, Ming appeared behind the middle-aged man. A long sword appeared in his hand. He raised his hand and stabbed the sword towards the Dan palace behind the middle-aged man. Pooh! The sound of flesh being cut was heard. Ming's long sword pierced through the middle-aged man's Dan palace from behind. Huff, 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 the Dan palace was destroyed. The remaining spiritual energy in the Dan palace lost its shackles and started to run wild in the middle-aged man's body. A blood-curdling scream was heard. His voice was hoarse and filled with pain. Although the spiritual energy belonged to him, he had lost his Dan palace. It was like water without a drain. It couldn't be stopped. Looking at the middle-aged man who was rolling on the ground in pain, Ming sneered and ignored him. He knew that the middle-aged man's fate was to explode from his own spiritual energy. At the same time, of the 8 people from the Qianquan sect, other than the mystic the Arch who was perfectly fine, the rest were all lying on the ground. They had either turned into cold corpses or had gone through inhumane torture. They were in so much pain that they could neither live nor die. How is this possible? The mystic the Arch, who had not moved from his original spot, looked at the scene around him. His face was filled with disbelief and shock. Less than a minute had passed, and all the elders of his sect had been defeated. This was something that he, the sect master, could not accept. From afar, Bai Qi looked at the ugly expression on the mystic Thearcha's face and laughed coldly. He slowly walked towards the mystic the Arch and said, "Come, it's your turn. I will give you a chance to challenge me. Come." As he spoke, he stopped and released his cultivation base. The aura of a peak hierarch was released and pressed towards the mystic emperor. Boom, see. Feeling the majestic aura, the mystic emperor's body sank. His face was filled with shock. This aura made it hard for him to breathe. One had to know that his cultivation base was at the middle hierarch realm. Now that he was suppressed so easily, he couldn't take it. Impossible. I can't lose. I'm the sect leader of the Qianquan sect. I won't lose. Ignorant. Bai Qi sneered. In the next moment, he made his move. His figure flashed past the mystic emperor. With a thought, a 3-foot-long sword appeared in his hand. A shocking sword chi shot towards the mystic emperor. The sword chi was so huge that it seemed to be able to cut through space. With a sonic boom, it appeared in front of the mystic emperor. Not good. Feeling the strength of the sword chi, the mystic emperor's face changed. He didn't dare to be careless. He placed his spear in front of his chest and circulated all his cultivation base to block the sword chi. Because the sword chi was too fast, the mystic emperor didn't even have time to use any battle techniques to block it. Don't rest. Form groups of 2 and end the battle quickly. Young master doesn't like to drag things out. Do you understand? At this moment, Bai Qi spoke to the rest of the group. Yes. Hearing this, the group of people rushed in all directions towards the depths of the Qianquan sect. They were so fast that they disappeared into the horizon. At this moment, there was no one else in the area. Bai Qi was serious. Although the other party's cultivation base was lower than his, underestimating the enemy was a big mistake. As Lin Rei's subordinate, how could he not know? Bam! At this moment, the sword chi collided with the spear in front of the mystic emperor's chest. A huge force was felt. At this moment, the mystic emperor's body flew backwards uncontrollably. At the same time, because of the strength of the sword chi, the mystic emperor's hands and arms were numb. He couldn't feel anything. Chapter 826. It's not over yet. Looking at the mystic Thearcha's shocked face, Bai Qi did not let his guard down. He did not give the mystic the Arch any time to react and immediately chased after him. He raised his sword and slashed at the mystic the Arch again. What? At this moment, Bai Qi suddenly appeared in front of him and his sword was about to land. The mystic the Arch was shocked. He ignored the pain in his arms and raised his spear, wanting to block Bai Qi. Humph, do you think I will give you a chance? Seeing the mystic the Arch trying to use the same tactic to block his attack, Bai Qi sneered. The sword chi from before was just a test. Now, he was using his full strength. Die! With a low roar, the long sword, which was as fast as lightning, came crashing down towards the mystic the Arch with a tremendous force. Bang! A loud sound rang out, blocking Bai Qi's 3-foot-long cold light. Suddenly, the mystic Thearcha's expression changed drastically. His face turned pale, and fresh blood spurted out of his mouth. Even the long spear in his hand was knocked out of his hand by the force of the sword. What? Whoosh! The mystic the Arch cried out in surprise. His figure was like a startled swan as he flew backward at an extremely fast speed. Plop, plop, 1,000 feet away, the mystic the arch landed on the ground. He rolled for a long time before he managed to stop himself. Pfff. He spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was extremely pale. His body was covered with wounds. Long and thin wounds appeared all over his body. At this moment, his life force began to flow away rapidly. Due to Bai Qi's earlier attack, more than half of the bones in his body had been broken. His internal organs were also badly damaged. The blood he spat out was mixed with pieces of his internal organs. Blood flowed out of his wounds. In an instant, the place where the mystic the arch was lying was dyed red with blood. It was a bloody scene. Cough cough, lying on the ground, the mystic the arch looked at the sky weakly. A complicated expression flashed across his eyes. There was regret, fear, confusion, and even more confusion. From the start till now, he did not know why the Xuanzong sect was fighting to the death with the Qiankuan sect. He coughed twice as blood flowed out of his mouth. Sigh. Seems like Qiankuan sect is finished today. If the Saints' world learns about this, what will they do? Attack? Or? While thinking, the mystic emperor turned his head with difficulty and his gaze fell on Bai Qi. Looking at him, the mystic emperor asked Bai Qi with a pleading look. May I, 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 may I offend your sect? Is that a problem? Hearing this question, Bai Qi slowly walked towards the mystic the arch, his face full of interest. As for the mystic Thearcha's question, Bai Qi did not want to hide it. After all, this was not a big deal. Looking at the mystic the arch, Bai Qi opened his mouth and said, "This matter has nothing to do with the heaven and earth sect of the divine world. Of course, it is indirectly related." What? Bai Qi's words confused the mystic the arch. He did not understand what he was talking about. Ha! Immortal world, the heaven and earth sect of the immortal world should be a branch of yours, right? As he said that, Bai Qi laughed coldly. Back then, when the heaven and earth sect of the immortal world attacked the Xuanzong sect, my young master was not around. During that battle, a young lady and young master were killed by your branch of the heaven and earth sect in the immortal world. At that time, my young master swore that the heaven and earth sect would be destroyed. Back then, when my young master rushed back, he was enraged. He killed his way to the heaven and earth sect and many other top sects and empires. At that time, my young master annihilated the entire sect. After saying that, Bai Qi looked at the mystic the arch again, his eyes filled with killing intent. After entering the divine world, who knew that there would be a heaven and earth sect here? Furthermore, it was of the same origin as the heaven and earth sect of the immortal world. So, do you understand now? After hearing Bai Qi's words, the mystic the arch finally understood why the Xuanzong sect hated the heaven and earth sect so much. It was because the Xuanzong sect killed the wife and child of the young master that Bai Qi spoke of. At this moment, the mystic the arch couldn't help but curse those bastards from the immortal world in his heart. He cursed them for creating such a huge trouble for the sects in the divine world. However, it was a pity that cursing was of no use. The heaven and earth sect of the immortal world was annihilated without a single survivor. Now, the Heaven and Earth sect of the immortal world met the same fate as the Heaven and Earth sect of the divine world. Now you know. Then, go to hell. After saying that, killing intent surged in his eyes. He raised his hand and a 3 chi long blade of light was raised, chopping towards the mystic Thearcha's head. Heis! Seeing the death god's scythe coming towards him, the mystic Thearch laughed bitterly. His heart was filled with helplessness and helplessness. He sighed, my life is over. After saying that, he gave up on struggling. He knew that even if he struggled, there wouldn't be any results. The other party was too strong. He had no way of fighting back. Closing his eyes, he waited for the arrival of death. At this moment, many thoughts appeared in the mystic Thearcha's mind. Many things he had done in the past, some good, some bad, some inhumane, some, however, at this moment, following the arrival of the death aura, everything faded away. All that was left was a blank space. Ah, soon you won't feel any pain. Seeing the mystic Thearch close his eyes, Bai Qi laughed coldly. Instead of slowing down, he sped up. Just as he was about to chop off the mystic Thearcha's head, a voice rang out. How dare you? In my Heaven and Earth sect, you dare to kill my sect leader? Do you think this old man is dead? This voice rang out. Following that, a terrifying aura pressed down on Bai Qi's body. Feeling this terrifying aura, Bai Qi frowned and stopped what he was doing. His sword stopped 3 centimeters away from the mystic Thearcha's head. It looked like it was about to explode. Stopping, he turned his head to look at the source of the voice. Frowning, he was shocked. TSK, to think that the Heaven and Earth sect still has a great circle supreme god. Seems like the Heaven and Earth sect didn't use all their resources. However, thinking about it, it makes sense. After all, the Heaven and Earth sect has been around for a long time. If they only had a few people, it would be disappointing. At this moment, not only did Bai Qi look over, even the mystic Thearch, who was waiting for death, opened his eyes the moment he heard those words. His eyes, which were filled with despair, regained a glimmer of hope the moment he heard those words. Old ancestor, you, looking at the old man in the sky, the mystic Thearch was stunned. Staring at the figure in the sky, his face was filled with shock. You're out of seclusion? Old ancestor? Hearing the mystic Thearcha's words, Bai Qi was stunned. Following which, he locked his gaze on the old man in the sky. Bai Qi's first impression of the old man was only one word. Strong. Of course, being strong didn't mean that he was invincible. As for the old man, Bai Qi didn't think much of him. It's you're the one who said that you're going to destroy the Heaven and Earth sect? At this moment, the old man whom the mystic Thearch addressed as Old Ancestor came to a stop in the sky above Bai Qi. Looking down at Bai Qi, his eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. Humph. Bai Qi was extremely unhappy with the sudden appearance of the old man who was addressed as Old Ancestor. He hadn't even said anything yet and this old man had already taken the initiative to put on airs. Old man, don't be disrespectful in front of me. The strong are respected. In this world, the strong are respected. You're also a great circle supreme god like me. What rights do you have to look down on me? As he spoke, he raised his hand and instantly released his cultivation. A huge amount of spiritual energy gathered in his palm. Following which, a terrifying suction force appeared. Divine punishment, descend, Kacha. Suddenly, the originally clear and boundless sky was filled with dark clouds. The dark clouds instantly filled the sky above Bai Qi and the others. Following that were streaks of purple-colored tears. They were like lightning dragons rolling about within the dark clouds. Kacha. Boom, suddenly, a purple lightning bolt turned into a purple dragon. It aimed at the old man in the sky and shot toward him. Purple heavenly lightning? This magic. Looking at the purple lightning above his head, the old man's eyes widened. At the same time, he was filled with disbelief and caution. Facing the purple heavenly lightning, he didn't dare to be careless. The purple heavenly lightning was an extremely terrifying lightning tribulation. It was known as the King of Lightning. Although it wasn't the strongest, it was definitely not something that he could underestimate. Although he was puzzled, the old man still chose to deal with the lightning tribulation above his head in the end. Come on, let me see how strong the purple heavenly lightning is. As he spoke, the old man couldn't be careless. A long sword appeared in his hand. He mobilized all his cultivation and attacked the purple dragon. Old fart. Looking at the old man, Bai Chi's eyes were filled with disdain. You've underestimated my purple heavenly lightning. Although it's only summoned by magic, it's not inferior to the real purple heavenly lightning. Since you're asking for trouble, don't blame me for not giving you face. After speaking, he waved his hand. As if his arm was a purple dragon, it attacked the old man. A dragon-like roar instantly spread out in all directions with Bai Chi and the others as the center. The roar was so loud that if cultivators below the Emperor God realm heard it, they would lose their 5 senses. If it was serious, their cultivation would be destroyed and they would explode and die. What? It has spiritual awareness? Noticing the change in the purple dragon, the old man was shocked and quickly dodged to the side. The moment the purple dragon roared, he clearly felt that the dragon's strength had increased by 2 or 3 levels. At this moment, the aura that the dragon emitted made his divine soul tremble. A sense of oppression that he had never experienced before emerged in his heart. You're quite fast to dodge. Seeing that his first round of attacks had been dodged, Bai Chi had to take it seriously. This was the first time he had fought against someone of the same level as him since his breakthrough. Since that's the case, I have no choice but to get serious. As he spoke, he waved his arm again. Suddenly, the dragon that had stopped in the air moved again. This time, its speed was even faster. It appeared in front of the old man almost instantly. The dragon opened its mouth and bit at the old man's head. Its speed was extremely fast, and it was extremely powerful. Oh no! The speed of the dragon was obviously not within the old man's expectations. When the dragon's mouth was just inches away from his head, the old man did not say anything. He raised his hand, circulated his cultivation, and punched at the dragon's head with all his strength. This time, the old man went all out. He knew that the cultivation of the purple dragon in front of him was oppressing him. However, in the face of death, he had no other choice. Pooh! The sound of flesh being torn apart could be heard. A smear of blood could be seen on the old man's left arm. Immediately, the old man's left arm disappeared. The only thing that could be seen was the badly mutilated part of his arm. Blood could not be stopped from flowing out. A cry of pain came from the old man's mouth. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. He lowered his head and looked at Bai Chi, who was commanding the dragon. Hatred surged in his heart. Bastard, bastard. I have been in the divine realm for many years, but I have never suffered such a great loss. You have thoroughly angered me. Oh. Then I would like to see what will happen after I have angered you. Bai Chi was shocked by the old man's words. Of course, this was exactly what Bai Chi wanted. At this moment, the mystic the Arch, who was lying behind Bai Chi, saw everything with his own eyes. Looking at the old man who had lost an arm, he felt that the scene before him was so real. That was because, in his impression, the old man of the Heaven and Earth sect was a high and mighty existence. He was invincible. Furthermore, when the old man appeared, he thought that he had a chance of survival. But now, with this scene before him, the last bit of hope in his eyes was completely extinguished. It was completely extinguished. Even the hope he had was gone. He knew that today's ending was already decided. Turning his head, Bai Qi looked at the mystic the arch who looked like he was dead. Bai Qi laughed coldly. Holding the 3 qi long blade in his hand, he slashed at the mystic the arch. You dare! This scene enraged the old man who had lost an arm. He did not expect that at this moment, he would turn around and kill the mystic the arch. Humph, see if I dare or not. Facing the old man, Bai Qi snorted coldly. Following which, the blade in his hand fell cleanly. Without any hesitation, he swung the sword in his hand. Pfff. Gurgle, gurgle, a sound of something falling rang out. The mystic Thearka's head had already been separated from his body. It fell to the ground and rolled. Ah, lad, you are courting death, you are courting death. The old man saw the mystic Thearka's death clearly. All of this had made him crazy. He had always thought highly of the mystic the arch. He had always thought that the mystic the arch would bring the heaven and earth sect to greater heights and become the #1 sect in the divine realm. But now, Chapter 827. Humph, I'll send you on your way. Bai Qi frowned in annoyance at the old man's attitude. Then, he disappeared from where he was. Humph, come on. Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. The old man was alerted by Bai Qi's disappearance. After the battle just now, he knew that he was no match for the old man in front of him. Of course, as someone of the same level, he wouldn't be killed so easily. Even if they had to fight to the death, he could still drag the old man down with him. That was Ancestor Heaven and Earth's plan. Of course, Bai Qi didn't think so. He didn't want to die here because he still had many things to do. He couldn't die here. Whoosh, when Bai Qi disappeared, Ancestor Heaven and Earth moved as well. He released his divine sense and disappeared. Although there was a sharp pain in his shoulder, he didn't have the mood to care about it. Because he knew that as long as he was even a little bit distracted, he would only be left with the fate of death in the end. Holding the long sword in his hand, Ancestor Heaven and Earth moved quickly. According to Bai Qi's location, Ancestor Heaven and Earth kept attacking. Heaven and Earth battle technique, Heaven and Earth lock. Suddenly, a golden light appeared from the long sword and rushed towards Bai Qi. It was so fast that it disappeared in the blink of an eye. Humph. And, looking at the golden light rushing towards him, Bai Qi was stunned. His face was solemn, but he didn't want to admit defeat. Looking at the golden light, Bai Qi could not help but feel a faint tremble in his heart. That was because he could faintly sense a trace of sealing power within the incoming golden light. Bai Qi knew that if he was hit by the golden light, the consequences would be unimaginable. Nirvana sword technique, first style, extermination. Bai Qi didn't dare to be careless. He waved his long sword and used his divine sense. Suddenly, a strong and powerful killing intent burst out from his body. At this moment, a strange scene happened. The killing intent that burst out of his body seemed to come alive and started to gather towards the long sword in Bai Qi's hand. Huff! Huff! There was no wind. At this moment, Bai Qi's white robes fluttered in the wind as if they were about to be torn apart at any moment. At the same time, waves of sword qi suddenly appeared as the killing intent condensed on the long sword. It was like a startling swan, causing people to tremble. What? How is this possible? At this moment, Old Master Heaven and Earth, who was standing in the air, looked at Bai Qi's battle tactics. Suddenly, he froze on the spot. His face was filled with disbelief and disbelief. Murderous qi, he also had it, but he had never heard of a battle technique that could be launched using murderous qi as the foundation. Furthermore, judging by Bai Qi's appearance, the offensive power of this combat technique was extremely strong, strong enough to refine and destroy anything. Looking at Bai Qi's sword, he had originally thought that using the heaven and earth lock would increase his chances of victory. But now, his heart, which had calmed down considerably, was now in complete panic. He was afraid, die. Looking at the stunned ancestor Qianquan in the air, Bai Qi's eyes flashed with killing intent. As the saying goes, take your life when you are sick. Now that ancestor Qianquan was not only injured but also stunned at such a dangerous moment, it was clear that he was doomed. Whoosh! A wave of sword qi shot out from Bai Qi's long sword. Its speed was shocking, its power was shocking, and the killing intent was so strong that it made people tremble. Facing the stunned ancestor Qianquan in the air, Bai Qi rushed towards him without hesitation. Bang! A loud sound rang out. Following the loud sound, a powerful shockwave spread out in all directions with the two battle techniques as the epicenter. Golden light and black light, the heaven and earth lock and nirvana sword art collided with each other. Instantly, the surrounding array was completely destroyed. The Qianquan sect was crushed into dust by the shockwave. Even the mountains within 100 feet radius were sacrificed in the battle between ancestor Qianquan and Bai Qi. The Qianquan sect, which was known as the Holy Land, was supposed to be a picturesque place with beautiful mountains and clear waters. However, after this battle, it was completely destroyed. What picturesque scenery! What flocks of birds and beasts! What pleasant scenery! At this moment, all that was left was smoke, piles of rubble, and countless craters. Everything from before had disappeared. At this moment, in front of the Qianquan sect, there was only one word to describe it: Azura battlefield. Although there were mountains of corpses and bones, the scene was unbearable to look at. No. No. Impossible. The heaven and earth lock. The heaven and earth lock can seal all kinds of energy. No, all of a sudden, in the originally silent space, ancestor heaven and earth let out a horrified roar. A loud noise rang out. At this moment, ancestor Qianquan's face was pale and blood was flowing out of his mouth. His face was filled with shock and disbelief. Nothing is impossible. Bai Qi was taken aback when he saw Patriarch Heaven and Earth shouting himself hoarse and filled with unwillingness. Then, a cold war broke out. Murderous aura belongs to spiritual energy. So what if your combat technique has the power of sealing? So what if it can seal all kinds of energy? In the face of murderous aura, it is useless. After saying that, Bai Qi looked at the extermination sword that was fighting against the heaven and earth lock. At this moment, the heaven and earth lock had started to crack under the extermination sword's resistance. Moreover, the rate of cracking was getting faster and faster. On the other hand, the extermination sword still had the hope that it had just released. Its power did not decrease and it continued to press forward as if it did not consume any energy. No. No, even without Bai Qi's reminder, Bai Qi could feel that his heaven and earth lock did not have the ability to seal the murderous aura. His original plan was ruined by the sudden appearance of this strange sword technique. The heaven and earth lock could only be used as a means of bombardment. Nirvana sword technique was something that Lin Rei had spent a lot of money to exchange for from the system. It was a top honorable realm combat technique. Moreover, this Nirvana sword technique was chosen by Lin Rei based on Bai Qi's experience. When Bai Qi was on planet Aqua Blue, he was known as the god of slaughter. He already had a terrifying murderous aura. In addition, after thousands of years of accumulation and growth, his murderous aura had soared to a certain extent. Therefore, Lin Rei had chosen this combat technique for him. However, Lin Rei did not expect that his whim would bring such benefits to Bai Qi. Kacha. Kacha, bam, along with the sound of cracking, it did not take long for the golden light to completely shatter. The extermination sword did not slow down and continued to rush towards Ancestor Qianquan, who was in a daze. This time, Bai Qi was determined to kill Ancestor Heaven and Earth with this strike. Because he had already used all of his strength, his killing intent was gone at this moment. If he wanted to use such a powerful combat skill again, he would need to recover his killing intent to do so. Of course, this was one of the drawbacks of the Nirvana sword technique. Only when one's murderous aura was abundant could he use the next few moves. Otherwise, after one move, his murderous aura would be exhausted and the other moves would be useless. However, the murderous aura consumed could be recovered slowly. Therefore, Bai Qi was not worried. No. No, 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 I am Ancestor Qianquan. I can't, Puqi. Ancestor Qianquan screamed in despair. Suddenly, the exterminating sword rushed over and split Ancestor Qianquan into two halves from the top of his head. Blood gushed out and scattered. The blood of a supreme god was filled with a certain amount of dharma. Moreover, the blood of a supreme god contained a huge amount of energy. Bai Qi believed that after being cleansed by Ancestor Qianquan's blood, something incredible would soon appear. Plop! Ancestor Qianquan lost control of his body and fell to the ground. Huff! Looking at his enemy being killed, Bai Qi let out a long sigh and smiled. Finally, it's over. To think that Qianquan's sect would have such a combat technique. Qianquan lock. It seems very interesting. If I give it to young master, perhaps young master will be a little interested. As he spoke, he extended his divine sense and scanned the 9 old fellows of the Qianquan sect. He could sense that they were still alive, and even their souls had been completely wiped out. At this moment, the shiny interspatial rings on their corpses were exposed to the sunlight. Hee, if that's the case, then I shall accept it. After saying that, Bai Qi raised his arm and a suction force came from his hand, aiming at the 9 people's universe rings. Instantly, the 9 universe rings were sucked into Bai Qi's hand. After he was done, Bai Qi chuckled and leaped into the air, dashing into the depths of Qianquan's sect. He had wasted too much time and did not want to waste any more time. Besides, he knew that Lin Rei did not want to wait. Whoosh! Bai Qi disappeared from the entrance of Qianquan's sect. Within Qianquan's sect, the battle was even more intense than before. Broken limbs and corpses were strewn all over the ground. Blood had already formed a thin stream. The surrounding palaces and houses were all in ruins. Cries of agony filled the sky. If the people of the upper god world were to see this, they would probably not dare to leave their houses. At the same time, the Xuanzong sect would be labeled as a demonic sect. Sky Dragon Mountain, Xuanzong sect. Within the secret grounds, a young man sat cross-legged on the grass. He had a kind expression on his face. This was none other than Lin Rei, who had returned to Qianquan's sect. During this period of time, Lin Rei's daily mission was to raise the fighting strength of his disciples and impart knowledge to them. For example, formations, alchemy, talismans, refining weapons, combat techniques, spells, cultivation methods, and some areas that he didn't understand, such as combat experience. As long as it could help them grow, Lin Rei was not stingy at all. He taught them everything without holding back. In Lin Rei's opinion, it would be great if they could surpass you. Of course, this was just Lin Rei's own thought. The news of Lin Li's return was like a spring breeze. Instantly, everyone in the Xuanzong sect found out about it. Because of this, the morale of everyone in the sect was raised to an extreme. Lin Linger, who was imprisoned in the cemetery, was brought out by Xiaofan. However, she did not appear. Instead, she was brought out of the sect by Xiaofan. From the sound of it, Lin Linger seemed to be brought to a good place that could help her break through her cultivation faster. Lin Yun, who originally wanted to stop them, gave up after hearing this. After all, in this world, strength was king. Only when one was strong enough would they not be bullied. Ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 300,000 exchange points and a Qiankuan pill, quasi-sage level. Ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 150,000 exchange points, ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 150,000 exchange points, ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 230,000 exchange points and a spine pill, peak ultimate god level. What's going on? Lin Rei was stunned by the sudden reward. His face was filled with confusion. He did not understand what was going on. However, right after the first batch of announcements, the second batch of rewards arrived. Ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 150,000 exchange points, ding! Killed a peak ultimate god cultivator. Obtained 100,000 exchange points and 3 million experience, ding, ding, ding. Following the system notifications, Lin Rei's face was filled with uncontrollable joy and excitement. *CK, if this goes on, then the exchange points that I owe the system will I be able to repay it completely after this? Lin Rei was filled with excitement as he thought about it. You're right. Right now, your debt has exploded to over 7 million. I believe it won't be long before you'll be able to pay it all off. Just as Linli was feeling extremely excited, the system suddenly spoke up. Ha ha ha, hearing the system's confirmation, Lin Rei could not help but laugh out loud. His face was filled with joy. However, the look on Linli's face caused the nearby disciples, who were training hard, to feel their hearts tremble. Lin Rei's reaction was too sudden. They were not prepared for it at all. Moreover, Lin Rei rarely laughed like this. Hence, they were very curious as to why he did it. At the same time, the question of Lin Wanyu and the others also appeared in Linli's mind. Regarding this reason, he was also confused. System, what is going on? I am here. How could I have killed so many peak ultimate gods? Moreover, god emperors. God monarchs. I don't remember any of these. Hearing those words, the system rolled its eyes and said in a displeased tone, Did you forget what you sent Bai Qi and the others to do? Hearing these words, Linli was startled. He was thinking of Bai Qi and the others. In that moment, Linli understood why he had suddenly gained so many points. Now that he thought about it, those people from the Qiankuan sect must have been killed by the people he sent. Suddenly, thinking about the Qiankuan sect in this world being destroyed, Lin Rei felt a sense of relief. Linger, don't worry. This is just the beginning. This is the cycle of karma. I will not let the founder of the Qiankuan sect go. Chapter 828. Drip. The translucent tear flowed out from the corner of Linli's eye and slid down his face, which was filled with nostalgia. Finally, it fell to the ground with a clear sound. Lin Rei was crying. A peak mid-ultimate god cultivator was crying. An expert with an invincible army was crying. A legendary existence was crying. When Lin Wanyu and the others saw this, they gaped in shock. Their faces were filled with astonishment. They had only seen their master cry when their master's wife and junior brother had died. After that, they had never seen him cry. But now, a godlike existence was crying. Even so, they did not step forward. They had all kinds of questions but they did not ask. Just like that, they just looked at Lin Rei. They did not step forward or did they disturb him. They just went about their own business, but they would turn their heads to look at him from time to time. Inside the Qiankuan sect, there were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. White bones could be seen everywhere. It was like hell. It made people shiver and their hair stand on end. There were no more howls, no more gasps, no more sounds of battle. Apart from the raging flames, there was nothing else. Young master's task is done. At this moment, Bai Qi and the others stood in the sky above the Qianquan sect. Their faces were cold and the murderous intent in their eyes had lessened. Yes. However, Jian Wei said slowly, what about the holy world? There's still one more in the holy world. The only way to completely eradicate the Qianquan sect is to kill them all. This is the only way for young master to escape from his wife's death. Sigh. Hearing Jian Wei's words, the others looked at each other in agreement and sighed. All right, that's enough. Looking at them, Bai Qi interrupted, now that the Qianquan sect is gone, it's still a sect with a long history. Its foundation is extraordinary. What we need to do now is to find out the foundation of the Qianquan sect. Besides. Saying that, Bai Qi looked at the tallest mountain in the distance. He felt an inexplicable pressure in his heart. He did not like this feeling. It was like a fish stem in his throat. It made it difficult for him to breathe. And what? Jian Wei looked at Bai Qi curiously and lowered his head to ask, what are you doing? Furthermore, I can feel an oppressive aura from there. This feeling makes me tremble, makes me panic. I'm afraid. Hearing that, Jian Wei was stunned for a moment and put on wariness. He agreed with Bai Qi's intuition. Since Bai Qi said that there was an oppressive aura there, then perhaps there really was something there. What should we do? Hearing this, Bai Qi stared for a moment before smiling and saying, just the two of us. Let's see what it is first. If there really is a powerful existence, with just the two of us, we won't be completely wiped out, right? How can that be? At this moment, when the others beside him heard this, they were all stunned. Their faces were filled with affection. Because they were summoned war generals, their hearts were vaguely united. That's right. At this moment, Red Lotus, the only female among them, was shocked when she heard what they said. Can the two of you do it? We're a team. 6 of us came here. Do you want us to go back as 4? Even if young master hears about this, he'll probably scold you. So, I don't agree with this. As she spoke, Red Lotus asked the others, what about you? Well, looking at the hostile Red Lotus, everybody was stunned for a moment. Then, they all had the same thought, which was that they couldn't afford to offend this woman. Also, they agreed with Red Lotus and nodded in agreement. Of course, we agree with you very much, Red Lotus. Everybody focused their eyes on the mountain that Bai Qi pointed at, their eyes full of fighting will. That's a good thing. How can you leave us out of it? You. Seeing how stubborn they were, Bai Qi shook his head with a bitter smile. I really don't know what to do with you. However, if that's the case, let's go together and see what that thing is. Yes, I agree. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Everyone was eager to give it a try, as if they wanted to rush to the top of the mountain to investigate. Bai Qi looked at them and nodded. Well, if that's the case, I'll send a message to young master first. Then, without waiting for their response, he turned his head and took out the voice transmission jade slip that Lin Ray gave him before he left. He pressed it against his forehead and began to send a voice transmission. Young master, the Qianquan sect has detected an unknown aura. It's very powerful. I'm afraid I don't have the ability to subdue it. After some consideration, we've decided to go and check it out. Then, a stream of spiritual energy rushed out of his body and entered the jade slip. Instantly, the jade slip was activated and turned into a beam of green light that shot into the sky and disappeared. It was so fast that even Bai Qi, a peak ultimate god, couldn't see how the jade slip disappeared. Of course, Bai Qi didn't dwell on this matter for too long. He suppressed his shock and went to Red Lotus and the others. At this moment, Dian Wei said, "Let's go. I feel that my blood is boiling." Everybody was already used to Dian Wei's behavior. Therefore, they all burst into laughter when they heard his words. Dian Wei was stunned for a moment and didn't say anything else. "Let's go. Don't keep Dian Wei waiting." At this moment, Kuei Gang suddenly teased. Amongst them, Kuei Gang was the most honest and straightforward, but now, after Kuei Gang's sudden words, everybody burst into laughter again and rushed in the direction that Bai Qi had pointed out. In the secret realm of the Xuanzong sect on Celestial Dragon Mountain, Lin Rei's mind finally calmed down after the bombardment of notifications. Damn it, it turns out that the system's notifications are also troublesome. It's so annoying. Humph, you're still pretending to be innocent. I really don't know why the system chose you in the first place. The system appeared and said. Lin Rei was embarrassed by the system's response. After all, he had mentioned the system when he spoke. Whoosh, suddenly, there was a sound of something breaking through the air. Just as he was about to respond to the system, he immediately released his divine sense after hearing the sound. Isn't this the voice transmission jade slip I gave to Bai Qi and the others? Lin Rei was puzzled when he saw the object breaking through the air. Logically speaking, after killing so many ultimate gods, there shouldn't be anything that could make Bai Qi and the others send a message. Since he couldn't figure it out, he stopped thinking about it. At this moment, the voice transmission jade slip arrived in front of Lin Rei and fell into Lin Rei's hand accurately. Looking at the jade slip, Lin Rei smiled. He thought that giving the jade slip to Bai Qi was superfluous. After all, there weren't many people in the divine realm who could fight against him. But now, Lin Rei didn't think so when he saw the jade slip. Without thinking too much, he reached out and placed the jade slip on his forehead. Using his cultivation, he activated the jade slip. Suddenly, Bai Qi's voice sounded in Lin Rei's mind. "Young master, the Qiankuan sect has discovered an unknown aura. It's extremely strong. I'm afraid I don't have the ability to subdue it. So, after thinking about it, we have decided to go and check it out. If there's any danger, at this point, Bai Qi's voice could no longer be heard. Hearing Bai Qi's voice transmission, Lin Li's face grew darker and darker. An aura that could threaten Bai Qi and the others, unless it was from a sage, even a quasi-sage wouldn't be a match for them. Thinking of this, Lin Rei's eyes widened. Killing intent surged in his heart. If that was really the case, then Bai Qi and the others, this matter needs to be taken seriously. Although Bai Qi and the others will not truly die after being killed, if you want to restore their physical bodies, the amount of exchange points and reputation points required will not be just a few million. Oh. How much do I need? Hearing the system's words, Lin Rei was taken aback. This was the first time he heard the system mention this, so, he didn't know everything. Each of them will need 30 million points or points. 6 of them will cost 180 million. With such a huge expenditure, The system didn't continue because it knew that Lin Rei couldn't possibly give it that much money. Hiss. As expected, the moment he heard the system's price, Lin Rei's eyes widened. Anyway, Liangpi's face was filled with shock. 180 million points or points. That was more than he had ever spent in his entire life. Furthermore, even if he borrowed it, the system wouldn't lend it to him. Thinking about this, Lin Rei felt a headache. He thought that he could relax for a while, but he didn't expect to encounter such a situation. As for Bai Qi and the others, although they were all summoned warlords, Linley had long since come to view them as his own brothers. One must know that they had grown up with him. They had been through trials and tribulations along the way. They had memories of all the hardships and heartache along the way. Furthermore, most importantly, even though Lin Ray had cut off the connection between their lives, they were still somewhat connected. So, what are your plans? At this moment, the system that had been spying on Lin Ray suddenly asked Lin Ray. Plans. TSK. Hearing the system's question, Lin Ray fell into deep thought. He hadn't thought about his plans yet. Moreover, this place was too far away from the Qianquan sect. If he rushed over now, it would be too late. Thinking of this, Linley couldn't help but rub his throbbing temples. His heart trembled. Heh, how about? I give you a teleportation portal? This teleportation portal can send you to the Qianquan sect immediately. Teleportation portal. Hearing the system's words, Lin Ray's eyes lit up. He had seen the system's teleportation portal before. However, one who was unaccountably solicitous was hiding evil intentions. Unless, yes, teleportation portal. 3 million exchange points. I'll give you a discount this time. As expected, he knew it. Of course, Lin Ray had no other choice. He swore to himself that he would upgrade the level of his teleportation portals and talismans as soon as possible so that he wouldn't be restricted by the system. So, do you want to exchange or, you, damn it? Rolling his eyes at the system, he said helplessly, I want one, a set. You said 300 exchange points per set. You can't go back on your word, okay? One set. Hearing this, the system was stunned and went silent. Time passed silently. With every passing minute, Bai Qi and the others would be in more danger. Then, just as Lin Ray was feeling frustrated, the system spoke. Alright, 3 million exchange points per set. I'll exchange. At this moment, Lin Ray was indescribably happy. To him, being able to scam the system was enough for him. As for the 3 million exchange points, it wasn't that important anymore. Ding, teleportation portal. Once inside the storage basket, please check carefully. Ding, purchase of teleportation portal. 3 million exchange points. Balance, 9 million exchange points. Hearing the system's notification, Lin Ray felt a twinge in his heart. It wasn't easy for him to break through the 10 million mark. Now, Lin Ray was exasperated at the thought of this. However, Bai Qi and the others who were in the Qianquan sect didn't know that the teleportation portal could be sent to Lin Ray in an instant. The mountain wasn't far from Bai Qi and the others. Therefore, the 6 of them quickly arrived at the top of the mountain and landed on it. This place was filled with greenery that pierced through the clouds. It gave off a mysterious feeling. As this place was a little far from the sect, it wasn't affected by the battle between Bai Qi and ancestor Qianquan. This place was still as good as new. However, there was a faint smell of blood in the air. This couldn't be separated from Bai Qi and the others. Although Qianquan sect was severely damaged 100 years ago, it was still a sect with a long history and many disciples. Qianquan sect had more than 100,000 disciples and all of them died in the hands of Bai Qi and the others. Of course, this didn't include those who had most likely left the sect. After landing on the mountain, Bai Qi's brows furrowed even tighter. It could even be said that his brows were twisted together. The slight seriousness in his eyes was now gone. He gripped the 3-feet-long cold light in his hand and looked like he was ready to fight at any moment. He was not the only one. Even Hong Lian and the others completely understood what Bai Qi had said. At that moment, everyone was shocked because the instant they landed on the mountain peak, their cultivations were faintly suppressed. Although the suppression was very slight, it was still noticed by everyone. Everyone was shocked. How strong must one's cultivation be to be able to suppress the cultivation of a peak hierarch? Chapter 829. How is it? This energy seems to be like a seal. In here, our cultivations will only be suppressed bit by bit. What should we do? At that moment, Hong Lian spoke first. Although she wasn't proficient in the power of seals, she wouldn't forget this feeling because she had been sealed for a period of time in the immortal world. She would never forget this feeling. Sealing power? Bai Qi frowned when he heard Hong Lian's words. He began to ponder. There was nothing he could do about sealing power. After all, he was not proficient in sealing formations and the like. He was only good at killing, he. There was nothing else he was good at. Hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you all so hesitant? You don't look like men at all. In my opinion, why don't we just charge in? Let's see if it's a mule or a horse. Jian Wei couldn't help but speak up when he saw how hesitant Bai Qi and Hong Lian were. Then, he activated his cultivation base at the Great Perfection Ultimate God Realm, but something strange happened. Boom! A terrifying purple light appeared the moment Jian Wei activated his cultivation base at the Great Perfection Ultimate God Realm. However, what happened next was even more shocking. The purple light turned into purple chains that looked like fingers the moment it enshrouded Jian Wei, locking him tightly. The ends of the purple chains went deep into the ground and fixed him on the top of the mountain. His cultivation base at the Great Perfection Ultimate God Realm also disappeared quietly. Even Bai Qi was shocked when he saw this scene. How could Bai Qi and the others be shocked by the fact that a peak ultimate god could not save them? Moreover, they could not sense anything at all. Although the sealing power was strong, he had never seen such a powerful sealing power. The energy made him feel suffocated and frightened, and no one dared to act rashly. At this moment, everyone was quiet. Even Jian Wei, who had been yelling at the beginning, quieted down. He didn't look as excited as before when he wanted to rush up and fight. Instead, he remained silent. What's going on? Why is the energy here so strong? Looking at the purple energy, Bai Qi could sense that this was the same aura that he had sensed back at Qianquan's sect. Well, it seems that we can only wait for the young master to come. There was no chance to attack Jian Wei, because everybody knew that Jian Wei was a man who only knew how to charge. Looking at Bai Qi, Red Lotus' expression was serious as she slowly said, "This is not something that we can deal with. Also, based on what happened just now, I'm certain that you can't use your cultivation here, or else." As he spoke, he pointed at Jian Wei who had been tied up. Could it be, as an intelligent person, Bai Qi immediately understood what Red Lotus meant. Furthermore, he had also noticed it earlier. That's right. Seeing that Bai Qi understood what she meant, Hong Lian smiled and said, "That's right. As long as you use your cultivation to its limit, I can guarantee that you will be the next one to be suppressed." Hiss. Hearing this, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with shock. Instantly, upon hearing that, everybody withdrew their cultivation that they had released. At the same time, the previous pressure was gone, and everybody regained their freedom. However, even so, it was impossible for Jian Wei to escape. After all, he had touched the taboo here. Alas! Suddenly, Keegan heaved a sigh and looked at Jian Wei. "In that case, you can just stay here. I was going to investigate this place, but now that I know what's going on, there's no need for me to waste my time here with you." "Yes," Ming Ming said. "Although we're brothers, it's silly to stand here, so we've unanimously decided to wait for you and the young master. Maybe you'll be saved when the young master comes." Hearing that, Jian Wei was speechless and smiled bitterly. However, what else could he do? He could only face reality. Fine. Then hurry up and send a distress signal to the young master. I don't want to stand here forever. Then, Dian Wei sensibly shut his mouth and stopped talking. Whoosh, in the square of the Qianquan sect, which was covered in blood and corpses, a blue light suddenly flashed. Then, an enormous array appeared out of nowhere. In the end, the array map enlarged and didn't stop until it covered the entire square. Whoosh, in the blue light, a blurry shadow suddenly appeared in the center of the square with his hands behind his back. His face was full of expectation, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer. Alas! I'm still here in the end. At this moment, a voice was heard from the array. The moment the voice was heard, the blue light disappeared, and the shadow's true face was finally exposed under the sunlight. Standing on the square was a young man. He had a handsome face, but his eyebrows were like swords, and his eyes were like stars. His gaze was very deep, and vaguely, there was a murderous aura in his eyes. He gave people a feeling that he was close, but also cold and distant. He lifted his head and looked at the scene around him. Suddenly, he frowned and looked displeased. These guys are too destructive. Besides, they have forgotten what I told them. After killing them, you have to destroy their corpses. Otherwise, they won't be able to avoid future troubles. Boom, then, a blood-red flame appeared in his palm. He raised his hand and blasted it at a corpse not far away. You, bastard! Suddenly, a transparent figure dashed out from the corpse that the young man was observing. The shattered body soared into the sky and looked down at the young man with a murderous expression. Bastard, do you want to die? How dare you destroy my soul? This was the soul of a cultivator from the Qianquan sect. Ha, soul! Looking at the floating soul, the young man sneered. I'm the sect leader of the Xuanzong sect, Lin Rei. Tell me, do you think you can keep me alive? Oh, by the way, did you want me to die just now? Lin Rei asked indifferently. What? Sect. Sect leader of the Xuanzong sect? You. Whoosh. Hearing Lin Rei's words, the soul was shocked. Without another word, he turned around and tried to leave this place. Just the disciples of the Xuanzong sect alone could destroy the Qianquan sect. Wouldn't the sect leader be even stronger? Thinking of this, he no longer had the guts to talk back to Lin Rei. In his heart, the only way was to stay alive. The young man standing in the middle of the square was none other than Lin Rei, who bought a transportation device from the Xuanzong sect. Seeing the soul trying to escape, a cold smile appeared on his face. Raising his hand, he gathered the illusory spirit blood fire and blasted it in the direction the soul was escaping. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air rang out. A blood-red flame, with a fleeting speed, rushed in the direction of the divine soul's escape. No, I have to leave as soon as possible. Where there's life, there's hope. Escaping is more important. The soul thought to himself as he burned his soul to escape the Qianquan sect. Whoosh, however, just as this thought appeared in his mind, another sound broke through the air. Confused, the soul turned around to look. F***ck, what the hell? Seeing the blood-red thing rushing towards him, the soul cursed and sped up. The moment he saw the blood-red energy, his soul started to tremble. It wasn't because of excitement. Instead, it was because of fear. It was fear that came from the depths of his soul. Since that was the case, how could he still be in the mood? He increased the speed of his soul burning and increased his speed again. However, he didn't expect that while his speed increased, the blood-red energy increased as well. Boom, in the end, one ran while the other chased. In the end, the soul couldn't escape from the blood-red energy and was tainted by it. Boom, suddenly, a blood-red flame appeared on the divine soul, enveloping it and burning it. Ah! I can't accept this, an angry roar came out from the soul's mouth. At first, his voice was strong and resonant. However, as his voice got softer and softer, it disappeared completely. The moment the soul's voice disappeared, the blood-red flame disappeared as well. Ding, killed a reverent god early stage soul. Reward, 100,000 exchange points, 3 million experience points. Error. Hearing the system notification, Lin Rei was stunned. However, he quickly threw it to the back of his mind. He had something important to do now. It was about Bai Qi. Stretching out his consciousness, Lin Fan enveloped the entire Qianquan sect within it. He was afraid that the same thing would happen again, and that there might be some fish that slipped through the net. If that were the case, after he left, there would definitely be a threat to the Xian sect. But Linli would not permit this threat to exist. He would not allow it to happen. Luckily, it only happened once. After scanning the entire Qianquan sect, he didn't find any other soul. Lin Rei nodded his head in satisfaction. Forget it. I'll meet up with Bai Qi first. After saying that, he retracted his divine sense and rushed towards the direction where Bai Qi's aura came from. As Lin Rei left, he threw out a blood fire and it landed on the corpses of the Qianquan sect disciples. As for him, he had already disappeared into the horizon and was rushing towards where Bai Qi and the others were. As for the Qianquan sect, not long after he had left, a raging fire was ignited. However, the color of the fire was blood red. What's going on? In the direction of the Cosmos sect. At this moment, at the peak of the mountain where Bai Qi was staying, Bai Qi and the others who were resting with their eyes closed suddenly felt a strange feeling. They immediately turned their heads and looked in the direction of the Cosmos sect. At this moment, the Cosmos sect was on fire. Young Master, it's Young Master's blood fire. Young Master is here. A cry of surprise came from Hong Lian's mouth. Suddenly, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with disbelief. That's impossible. Young Master is in the sect. Even if he used a voice transmission jade slip, he shouldn't have received it yet. Everyone didn't believe Hong Lian's words. Others might not know, but they knew very well that it would take them half a month to travel from the Xuanzong sect to here. Of course, that was if they were peak ultimate gods. To ordinary people, that was a long journey. It would take at least a few months. For those with a lower cultivation level, it might even take a year. However, just as everyone was certain that it wasn't Lin Rei, a familiar voice rang out. Are you so sure that it isn't me? Of course. How could Young Master, Young Master. Kuei Gang, who hadn't reacted in time, blurted out in disbelief. However, halfway through his sentence, he stopped abruptly because he was very familiar with that voice. If it wasn't Lin Rei's voice, he wouldn't have believed that it was Lin Rei who had arrived so quickly. Young Master, everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a young man standing at the edge of the cliff, looking at them with a smile. Looking at this young man, everyone was stunned. Their faces were filled with shock. Wasn't this their young master, Linli? At the same time, they were filled with questions. They didn't understand why Lin Rei had arrived so quickly. You guys really don't make me feel at ease at all. I originally wanted to rest for a few days, but you guys ruined it for me. Hearing those words, Bai Qi lowered his head, filled with guilt. Where's Jian Wei? Where did he go? Looking at the guilty faces of Bai Qi and the others, Lin Rei was taken aback. Then, he quickly changed the topic to attract their attention. As expected, Bai Qi was taken aback when he heard that. Then, he quickly said, Young Master, he's over there. However, there seems to be some ceiling power over there. The power is limited. When one's cultivation reaches a certain level, it will be suppressed and shackled by purple chains, making one unable to move. Huh? Purple chains? Lin Rei's curiosity was piqued. Where is it? Take me to it. Okay. Baichi nodded and led the way for Lin Rei. They followed closely. They weren't far from where Dian Wei was, so they arrived quickly. The moment Lin Rei saw Dian Wei's current appearance, he was stunned on the spot. F***ck, this formation, is a little interesting. For Lin Rei, a peak venerable level array master, he knew that it was a sealing array the moment he saw Dian Wei's appearance. System, check this place and see what exactly is here. Why would it use such a powerful sealing formation? Okay, got it. The system responded, and then a prompt sounded in Lin Rei's mind. Ding. Beginning detection. Please wait a moment. Lin Rei chose to remain silent. The others didn't say anything, and it wasn't appropriate for them to do so. They just waited for Lin Rei's next instruction. Ding. Beginning detection. Do you want to check? Yes. Yes. Ding. Sky sealing purple cloud array, peak of the middle saint level. Purple mountain range as the foundation. Earth veins as the supplement. Chapter 830. Sealing spell formation. Then, doesn't that mean? Hearing this, Linley seemed to have thought of something, and a hint of joy appeared on his face. That's right. Knowing what Lin Rei thought of, the system chuckled and said, there's a special item sealed here. Of course, it's good for you, but it's great for others. Besides, if you can refine it, then, that person might be able to advance to the saint stage and become a saint. Hiss. Hearing this, Linley couldn't help but suck in a cold breath, and a look of shock appeared on his face. However, at the same time, although there was joy on his face, there was also a trace of disappointment in his eyes. Can't I use it? He mumbled to himself. However, he recovered quickly. After all, he knew his own situation, so he didn't dwell on it for too long. Yes, this item has the imprint of the Great Tao and has fused with that item. If you want to refine it by force, then, alright, you don't have to say any more. I understand. He knew what the system wanted to say. Besides, he also knew how important it was, so, sigh. The system let out a long sigh, then shut its mouth and didn't say anything else. However, at this moment, Linley didn't dwell on this matter. Instead, Linley began to consider who he should give this item to. It was as if he had already obtained it. Yun. No, how can I let my son be controlled by the Great Tao? No. He shook his head. Jiayang? No, TSK. He has already become the successor of the Pai Xiu. If I do that, it seems like I'm letting the Pai Xiu down. Then who can it be? His idea was to leave the item in the sect. Whoever could get it to acknowledge him as its master would refine it into the holy world. Anyway, no matter who entered the holy world, it would be beneficial for him and the Qiankuan sect. Yes, that's right. After making the decision, Lin Rei came back to himself and fixed his eyes on Dian Wei, who was inside the array. Looking at him, Lin Rei chuckled and raised his hand. A suction force instantly appeared. He aimed at Dian Wei. Suddenly, an intense pulling force appeared on Dian Wei's body. At this moment, Dian Wei, who had nothing to do because his cultivation was sealed, was resting with his eyes closed. However, a pulling force suddenly appeared. Dian Wei opened his eyes abruptly and turned around in confusion. Young master? Her voice trembled with joy, but at the same time, it was filled with doubt. He was happy because he saw Lin Rei and knew that he could be saved. However, he was puzzled because he had just been waiting for his cultivation by the array formation. How did Lin Ray appear so quickly? Linli didn't explain what Dian Wei was thinking, but his eyebrows were tightly furrowed at this moment, and his face suddenly became solemn. Ha! It seems that Xiao Lan's item is really something. I didn't expect it to be so difficult to deal with. Looking at the purple chain, Lin Ray was shocked. Then, his unyielding aura soared to the sky, and the suction force increased again. Then, he activated the devouring heaven's end. The suction force increased, and a tremendous devouring power appeared. The devouring heaven's end could devour everything in the world. There was nothing that the devouring heaven's end could not devour. Bit by bit, the devouring heaven's end was fully exerted. The purple chain that locked Dian Wei up began to loosen and tremble as if it had sensed the aura of the devouring heaven's end. It began to shrink. Something is happening. The chain is loosening. Dian Wei, who had been observing the chain the whole time, was filled with excitement. Because at this moment, he discovered that the chain that was originally tightly binding him had actually loosened at this moment. Moreover, it even showed signs of falling off. However, there was also a hint of trembling in fear behind the signs. Dian Wei was quite shocked about that. However, for Lin Ray, it wasn't troublesome at all. Instead, it was a very comfortable process. It was because the power of the array and the chain was surging into his body incessantly. Although the energy wasn't particularly powerful, Lin Ray was already satisfied with it. After all, it was better than nothing, even though he knew that it wouldn't help him make a breakthrough at all. Bit by bit. While he was devouring, Lin Li's spiritual energy constantly surged into the depths of the ground. He wanted to investigate the core of this formation, he wanted to investigate the mysteries of this formation, he wanted to obtain the thing sealed by this formation. At the same time, a suspicious thought occurred to him, which was none other than the existence of the array. Lin Ray didn't believe that the cosmic sect didn't know about such an array, and he didn't believe that the people of the cosmic sect could have held themselves back from attacking. Therefore, he couldn't help but wonder why the thing was here, and who sealed it. Lin Ray was puzzled by the series of questions. He couldn't figure it out at all. However, Bai Qi and the others didn't say anything or disturb Lin Ray while he was touching the chain on Dian Wei, because they all knew that external disturbances were the most dreadful at such a moment. Kacha, however, soon after that, a strange sound was heard. Everybody was stunned and then raised their heads to look at the source of the sound. What they saw was a purple chain that had already been broken. It was none other than the chain that had been chained to Dian Wei's body. Everybody was delighted to see that, and their worries were greatly relieved. Phew! It's finally working. Seeing that the chain was broken, Lin Ray smiled and wiped the sweat on his forehead. If it didn't work, I would have had to resort to violence. But it's fine now. Seeing that the chain was broken, Lin Ray worked even harder. Although the process was boring, Lin Ray endured it in order to save Dian Wei. And in the end, at the same time as the chains were severed, Lin Li's spiritual energy in divine sense, which had penetrated deep into the ground, would give Lin Li some information which would cause Lin Li to be pleasantly surprised. At this moment, below Lin Ray's feet, about halfway up the mountain, Lin Ray's mental power and soul power entered a space where Lin Ray saw the original appearance of the array. He also saw a dozen purple chains that were extending upward. It was obvious that they were the chains that locked Dian Wei. Lin Ray was delighted to see that. Yeah, damn it. I've finally found you. Don't think that you can stop me just because there are some powerful traps up there. Looking at the array down below, Lin Ray said angrily, you should know that I'm Lin Ray. You're dreaming if you think that you can stop me with such little difficulty. After saying that, he smirked. The silhouette formed by his consciousness moved and dashed into the formation. He activated his mental energy immediately. Even though he was only at full paragon level, his horizons were not low. Furthermore, he had the help of the system. System, check if the center of the array is in that direction. As he spoke, Lin Ray pointed at the place behind him that gave him the same feeling. After entering this place, he felt that this place gave him a very, very different feeling. Other places gave him a very oppressive feeling, but this place gave him a very gentle and comfortable feeling. Okay. Wait a moment. Hearing Lin Ray's request for help, the system responded and then began to check in the direction that Lin Ray pointed at. Time didn't pass very quickly. He thought that he would have to wait for a while, but after a few seconds, the system's voice sounded in his ear, "Heh, you little brat, your luck is always so good. I don't know if it was related to luck in your previous life that you are so lucky in this life." Huh? So you're saying that this is where the core of the formation is located? A smile appeared on Linley's face as he spoke to the system. Yes, that's right. The system nodded and said, that's indeed where the center of the array is. Also, there's a nice thing that can be used as the center of the array. It should be good for you. If you can get it, I believe it will be helpful for your cultivation. Oh? Hearing this, Linley was startled. Linley didn't really care about the formation cores, but if he really did as the system had said, then the result would be different. Okay, it's up to you. You'll know when you get there. He didn't continue speaking. Instead, he cut off the conversation with Linley. Lin Ray was stunned for a moment and then felt helpless. However, he soon adjusted his mood. After all, it wasn't the first time that the system did that, and he was used to it. Alas, I'd better do it myself. Then, he shook his head and moved. He kicked his legs and jumped in the direction he had pointed out before. His speed wasn't very fast. Although he was in a state of divine consciousness, some formations could restrain the body of divine consciousness. As the saying went, caution is the parent of safety. If one walked by the river often, one's shoes would get wet. It was better to be safe than sorry. In the place where Linley's real body was, 7 or 8 chains around Dian Wei's body had already been broken, but the other half of them were still holding Dian Wei's body tightly, making it impossible for him to move. Dian Wei was quite speechless about that. F***CK. This thing is pretty useful. Seeing that he had spent so much time and effort to acquire so little, Linley felt a sense of frustration. He didn't expect that this chain would be so powerful, and that it would have so much energy. Logically speaking, the spiritual energy required for this array was not a little bit. But now, just a few chains had taken him so long to devour, and he even used the Devour Heaven's End technique. Just like that, the state lasted for an hour. Finally, after a crack, the last chain on Dian Wei's body was broken, and he regained his freedom. However, he didn't dare to do anything at this moment. He could only walk slowly to where Lin Ray and the others were. His cultivation wasn't suitable at all. He didn't want to stand there like an idiot for too long. Okay, you wait here. I'll go in and take a look. Seeing that Dian Wei was fine, Lin Ray said to the others. Then, he cast an earth-burrowing technique on himself and rushed to the array space halfway up the mountain. Lin Ray was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he entered the array space where his divine consciousness had been before. He landed on the ground and glanced around to find the direction where his divine consciousness had gone. Then, he jumped and rushed in that direction. More than 10 minutes ago, according to the message he received, he had reached the center of the array successfully. However, for some reason, the moment his soul entered the center of the array, he was locked in the center of the array by a few purple chains, just like what happened to Dian Wei. Linley was frantic about this, but he also felt fortunate. Because his divine sense was unharmed, he didn't want his divine sense to be trapped inside. After all, if his divine sense were to shrink, it would be very troublesome. He didn't like trouble, so Lin Rei knew there was no danger on the path he had taken. At this moment, he sped up as fast as he could. Of course, he was only using his physical strength. After all, his physical body was strong enough to fight against a peak ultimate god without losing. He was so fast that it didn't take long for him to arrive near the array core. He didn't know what was going on inside and didn't want to be locked by strange chains after entering the array core like his divine consciousness. Boy, hurry up and go in. Your divine consciousness is about to be devoured. Suddenly, the system's urgent voice was heard. Lin Rei was stunned. What? Upon hearing that, Lin Rei was stunned at first. Then, he looked up and saw that his divine consciousness, which was originally intact, began to blur in fear. What's going on? It was fine just now. Lin Rei was dumbfounded by what he saw. It was fine just now, but now, don't waste time. Hurry up. The system reminded him. Oh. Right. He didn't waste any more words and didn't hesitate like before. He raised his foot and took a step into the formation. He didn't care about anything when he was in front of his divine consciousness. Now that it was locked by the chains, it was as if it was sealed. The only way to retrieve his divine consciousness was to break the chains. He thought about it, but he couldn't use his cultivation. Then, he stretched out his hands, grabbed the chains, and exerted force in his arms. Suddenly, the dormant divine consciousness in his body woke up completely under the control of Lin Rei. His muscles bulged and his strength exploded. Arg! Break! He didn't care about anything else and didn't care if his actions would cause any changes to the array core. The only thing he knew was that he had to release his divine consciousness. Otherwise, it would be too late. With a sudden burst of power, he raised his physical body to the level of a quasi-sage. All of a sudden, a crack appeared on the originally smooth chain. Gotcha. Gotcha, heh, kid, you want to fight with me? How dare you? His voice trailed off. Just as Linley was feeling smug, an iron chain suddenly appeared from beneath his feet, and with incredible speed, it began to bind Linley's legs. How can this be? Chapter 831. Lin Rei was taken aback and his expression turned solemn. It happened so fast that he was not prepared for it at all. Although he had thought of the possibility before, however, when such a thing really happened, he would still feel a little flustered. After all, this thing had a sealing effect. Seeing the purple chains appear one after another, quickly entangling Lin Rei's feet and intending to touch Lin Rei's upper body, Lin Rei could not stand it. If he was entangled even when he hurt someone, he would be at the mercy of others, just like Dian Wei. Boom, puff, 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 suddenly, a heaven-shaking wave of heat spread out in all directions, with Linley at the center. Around Linley's body, at this moment, a blood-red flame began to burn. Illusory soul blood fire. Just then, just as Linley had been in a state of confusion, he had suddenly, for some strange reason, used the mirage blood fire. However, even though he had made a mistake, he had still managed to hit the mark. What Linley had never imagined was that the appearance of the mirage blood fire would cause the violet chains to slowly shrink back. Huh? What's going on? This scene caused Linley's heart to turn cold. The violet chain seemed to have a spirit, as if it had a life of its own. When the illusory spirit blood fire appeared, it began to tremble, as if it was afraid of being burned by the flames. Although the speed wasn't very fast, it didn't take more than a minute for it to completely disappear. Thus, Linley regained his freedom. Without the restriction of the violet chains, Linley felt much more relaxed, and some of his previous worries began to fade away. "Hey, I didn't expect that you would be afraid of my flames." "That's good. In that case, then." Looking at the purple chains that locked the body of consciousness, Lin Rei smiled. Boom! Suddenly, Lin Li activated all of his Mirage Bloodfire. In the next instant, the Mirage Bloodfire was like a serpent, instantly charging out. As though it had come to life, it wrapped itself around the violet chains that were binding his divine sense, then began to burn it. The effect was immediate. Just like before, after the purple chain came into contact with the blood-red flame, it began to slowly retreat. As he watched the purple chain slowly recede, his body of consciousness slowly regained its freedom. Lin Rei felt a slight sense of relief, but along with this relief, there were also doubts. He didn't understand why a chain formed by a formation would be afraid of his illusory spirit blood fire. Lin Rei couldn't figure it out. Although Lin Rei knew that the illusory spirit blood fire was incomparably powerful, but, regarding the formation, he had never thought of it. "Alright, don't think about it. If you can't figure it out, then don't think about it." At this moment, the system spoke. "The power of the illusory spirit blood fire has only just begun to show. Your understanding of it is still too small. Therefore, you should quickly increase your cultivation. One day, you will know the power of the illusory spirit blood fire. At that time, all your questions will be answered." This. Listening to the system's advice, Lin Rei felt even more stifled. This made him want to understand the mystery of the illusory spirit blood fire even more. However, since the system had already said so, Lin Rei could only hide his curiosity and wait for the future. Clack. At this moment, a strange sound was heard. His mind was awakened by the strange sound. Looking up, he saw that the last purple chain that locked the body of consciousness had completely disappeared at this moment. Lin Li smiled at this, then waved his hand towards the avatar of divine sense. "Come back." Whoosh! Hearing Lin Rei's call, the body of consciousness instantly turned into a flash of light and rushed into Lin Rei's body, returning to the place where he was supposed to be. Phew! After doing all this, the return of the body of consciousness made Lin Rei exhale a long breath of turbid air. His face relaxed slightly, but it did not last long. Immediately, it became serious and dignified. Looking at the vast darkness ahead, Lin Rei had a vague feeling that there was a terrifying existence sealed there. And this existence made his heart and soul tremble. However, even so, Lin Rei had no intention of backing down. Instead, his face was full of determination. He took a step forward, indicating his decision. "Go, there is no danger ahead. At most, it is a small danger. Overcome it and it will be over. You should feel that it is worth it to be able to obtain the things here." The system suddenly said. Hearing the system's words, Lin Li was startled. His face was filled with astonishment, and he stared in front of him with a strange look in his eyes. He thought to himself, minor danger, minor disaster. If you say, minor danger, then there must be some danger. Lin Rei had some doubts about the system. Whether it was the system or the little dragon, he had been cheated countless times by these two people. What's wrong? You don't believe me? Looking at Lin Rei's strange gaze, the system was stunned. There was no response. After looking ahead, his heart was startled, and he immediately stepped forward. In order to prevent the previous incident from happening again, Lin Rei enveloped his body with the illusory spirit blood fire, forming a blood-red robe that wrapped him in it to prevent the invasion of the purple chain. As for the system, after Lin Rei didn't speak, it didn't speak anymore and returned to silence. In this regard, Lin Rei didn't have much of a response. On the top of the mountain, Bai Qi and the others who were waiting for Lin Rei were filled with anxiety and nervousness. Sigh. It was a mission that was given to us, but we still had to disturb young master in the end. Really? At that moment, Bai Qi looked in the direction where Lin Rei left with a guilty and reproachful expression. In such a strange place, he couldn't guarantee that Lin Rei wouldn't be in danger. And as a subordinate, he actually didn't have the ability to protect him, which made him feel like something was really wrong. Don't say any more. If it weren't for me, young master wouldn't have ended up like this. At that moment, after hearing Bai Qi's words, Dian Wei felt deeply remorseful and secretly took all the responsibility on himself. At the side, Red Lotus couldn't stand it any longer and scolded, "Look at the two of you. Young master hasn't even said anything and you're already blaming yourselves." "Huh? We." Upon hearing that, the words we got lost in their words. "We don't know how powerful young master is. Besides, do you think young master will stumble here? Even the purple chain from before didn't baffle young master. Do you think this array formation will baffle young master?" With that, Red Lotus continued in disbelief, "Anyway, I don't believe it. No matter what you do, everything will have to wait until young master returns safely. When the time comes, if young master continues to act like this, we'll see if he will beat you up." After saying that, Red Lotus shut her mouth and stopped talking. Upon hearing Red Lotus's words, Bai Qi and the others lowered their heads and fell into silence. It was apparent that they had listened to Red Lotus's words. After all, Red Lotus was summoned together with them. Besides, Red Lotus was their big sister back then. However, Lin Rei, who they were worried about, was currently walking slowly in the magical array space. He looked around and felt very uncomfortable. "Tisk, just how big is this place?" Seeing that the path ahead was still pitch black and long, Lin Rei frowned and his face was filled with displeasure. After walking for a long time, he still hadn't reached the core of the magical array. Lin Rei's heart was filled with doubts. Previously, he had checked that the core of the magical array should be here, but in the end, there was no core of the magical array. Instead, it was like an endless path. The more he walked, the more Lin Rei felt that something was wrong. He even had a feeling that he had unknowingly entered a huge illusory magical array. Looking at the pitch-black surroundings, Lin Rei became more and more convinced. Then, he stopped and didn't move forward. He sat down cross-legged and his mental energy rushed out, filling his surroundings with a huge amount of mental energy. He wanted to see where exactly he was. Logically speaking, after entering the core of the magical array, he should be safe and sound. Moreover, he should be able to find the core of the magical array. But now, not only did he not find anything, but he was also on an endless path. It was like a ghost going around a wall. There was no end. At that moment, Lin Rei suppressed the displeasure in his heart. He emptied his mind and used his mental energy to feel the runes of the magical array around him. He wanted to know if he was in an illusory magical array or not. Boom! His mental energy instantly entered the magical array. He saw the runes of the magical array clearly appear in Lin Rei's mind. Double magical array? No, it's the interlocking magical array. At that moment, Lin Rei saw the changes in the runes of the magical array. Finally, he concluded that it was the interlocking magical array. The interlocking magical array was a type of magical array. It was formed by connecting multiple magical arrays. It was ever-changing. If the first magical array was broken, then the second magical array would be formed automatically. If the second magical array was broken, then the third magical array would be formed. So on and so forth, it would forever be impossible to unravel, and it would become an endless cycle. Of course, this was only limited to those existences with low attainments informations. Those with good cultivations would be able to discern the strangeness of this with a single glance. Just like Linley right now. Staring at the interlocking formation, he felt a sense of helplessness and displeasure. Motherf ****, can you please do this? You're a powerful figure, after all. How can you not know about such a powerful sealing formation and yet not know about such a disgusting interlocking formation? Aren't you trying to disgust me? Seeing that the interlocking magical array was constantly changing, Lin Rei was suddenly enlightened. No wonder I can't get out. If I don't know about it, I'm afraid I won't be able to leave even if I die. As he spoke, he was stunned. He instantly poured his mental energy into the magical array and it began to crack. Lin Rei could see that although the interlocking magical array was the most disgusting interlocking magical array, its level was indeed very high. It was almost at the middle honorable realm. Humph, how dare you disgust me? I will tear you apart. As Lin Rei spoke, he felt indignant. As a complete honorable realm magical array master, it was more than enough to crack the magical array. It was a piece of cake. The enormous mental energy extended to the runes of the interlocking magical array and it began to crack one by one. Days passed. Although it was only a middle honorable realm magical array, the interlocking magical array was not to be underestimated. It was necessary to consume time and energy. The honorable realm magical array was not a cabbage that could be found on the street. It could be broken with a wave of one's hand. 19 days passed in the blink of an eye. Lin Rei, who was sitting in the middle of the magical array, suddenly opened his eyes and a smile appeared on his face. It's finally solved. Damn, it's really not easy. As he spoke, he raised his hand and wiped the sweat on his forehead. Then, a mysterious seal was formed instantly. Universe, break, boom, suddenly, the entire magical array space began to tremble. At this moment, something wonderful happened. The originally pitch-black path was replaced by a ray of light that appeared above Lin Rei's head. Staring at the light, Linley's smile grew even wider. God damn it. What the hell was that thing sealed? Why did it have to be so troublesome? I wonder if that bastard was bored out of his mind back then. As he waited, he couldn't help but curse the person who set up the magical array. However, the surrounding light grew brighter and brighter until the darkness disappeared completely. The array core was completely exposed in front of Lin Rei's eyes. At this moment, not far in front of Lin Rei, there was a purple jade pendant that looked like an eye lying flat on the ground. Traces of strange energy were continuously rushing out from the jade pendant. Look, it's so powerful just like that. Looking at the jade pendant, Lin Rei couldn't help but reveal a trace of shock on his face. Yes, this thing is indeed extraordinary. At least, I've told you that this thing is very useful for you. So, find the thing sealed here first. With the magical array here, it'll be beneficial for you to subdue the sealed thing. Oh. Hearing the sudden words, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, he nodded his head. Yes, I understand. Moving his gaze away from the altar, Lin Rei's heart skipped a beat. A strange feeling came from behind him, and this feeling startled him. He quickly turned his head to look. Not far behind him, a small figure that looked like a soul was floating in the air. The only difference was that he was chained up in the air by chains from top to bottom, making him unable to move. Damn, it can't be, right? After so long, it's just for this thing? Looking at the small figure, Lin Rei was puzzled. However, although he didn't understand, he didn't lower his guard in the slightest. That little person caused Linley's heart to be filled with fear. What is this? Not daring to be careless, Huang Xiaolong asked the system. The Holy Eye can also be called a saint godhead. Of course, to understand, it is the essence of a true saint. With it, as long as one can refine it, then that person will become a true saint. What? Holy Godhead, Holy Eye? Hearing the system's words, Lin Rei was puzzled. He had never heard of such a thing. The system nodded and said, "This thing, every true saint has it, but it has completely merged with the great Tao imprint. You can't use it." Chapter 832. Is that so? Although he had heard of it before, he couldn't help but feel a little disappointed when he heard it again. After all, this thing could increase one's cultivation and could even reach the Holy Realm. Lin Rei believed that even if it wasn't him, no one would be able to resist the temptation of this thing. In fact, for the sake of this sacred eye, there might even be a bloodbath. "Alright, I'll leave it to you to decide what to do with it. I'll take my leave." "Oh, right. You don't have much time left for the 100-year mission. So, hurry up and finish up your business here, then leave." After speaking, without waiting for Lin Li to reply, he disappeared, entering a state of silence. Lin Rei felt helpless at the system's reminder. He didn't want to think about it at first, but now that the system mentioned it, his time was tight again. "Really, how long has it been since I came back?" he complained, his face full of unhappiness. However, when he thought that if he couldn't complete it, he would lose his life. Suddenly, Lin Rei's fighting spirit was high and he had an inexhaustible energy. Sigh. With a sigh, he shook his head and threw all the bad things to the back of his mind. His attention was once again focused on the sacred eye that was locked in the air before the new year. Looking at it, Lin Rei's expression was full of passion. "With you, I will have a sage as my subordinate. This way, when I reach the Holy Realm, there might be a little protection." Boom! After saying that, with a boom, a terrifying flame rushed out of his palm and jumped around in Lin Rei's hand like a fire spirit. It was very naughty, like a naughty child. "Ha! Unseal me!" With a boom, a palm was sent towards the sacred eye. The moment it was sent out, the illusory spirit blood fire condensed in his palm rushed out and rushed towards the chain that locked the sacred eye. Whoosh! The sound of something breaking through the air could be heard. A blood-red light rushed out in an instant, and the path was very beautiful. In the space where the temperature was just right, the moment the illusory spirit blood fire broke through the air, the surrounding air began to heat up. As time passed, the surrounding temperature became hotter and hotter. At this moment, the entire space had become a large steamer, an extremely high-temperature oven. Walala, walala, suddenly, the chains that felt the illusory spirit blood fire rushing towards them all began to tremble. The sounds of the chains colliding and shaking resounded in the space of the formation eye. "If you're scared, then get out of here. I guarantee that I won't tear this formation apart. If you don't return, then," as he spoke, a murderous aura flashed in his eyes. "If you don't return, I will destroy this place for you. You must believe that I have the strength to do so. Don't underestimate me. Otherwise, I won't be able to defeat you." Puff puff, as he spoke, the illusory spirit blood fire had already reached the chain. Instantly, the illusory spirit blood fire the chains suddenly separated, forming small fire dragons that began to coil around the chain and burn it. However, the illusory spirit blood fire seemed to have a spirit of its own. It didn't approach the sacred eye at all, as if it was afraid of burning the sacred eye. Gotcha! A small hole suddenly appeared on the chain around the sacred eye's neck. As the hole broke, the other places that were burned by the illusory spirit blood fire also began to break slowly. Lin Rei sneered in his heart when he saw this scene. At this moment, he instantly activated the devouring heaven end. A terrifying suction force appeared on Lin Rei's palm. He didn't act rashly, but quietly waited for the chain to break completely. The moment the chain broke, he kept the sacred eye in the system. He made all the preparations, waiting for the moment when the chain broke. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, a few hours had passed, and more chains had broken. At this moment, there were no more chains left on the sacred eye. Aside from the one on the 4 limbs, the rest of the chains had basically all broken and turned into nothingness. Soon, I wonder if Bai Qi and the others are waiting anxiously for me up there. Although it was dark here, Lin Rei could feel that he had been here for at least 10 days. Moreover, this was a conservative estimate. Thinking of this, Lin Rei worked even harder. He immediately used his cultivation to increase the heat of the illusory spirit blood fire. Kacha, another chain broke. Lin Rei was a little surprised by this, but he continued to work hard. While he was working hard, the purple jade pendant on the altar seemed to come to life and slowly shifted in the opposite direction of Linli, as if it was afraid that Linli would cause trouble for it after the sacred eye was unlocked. Lin Rei didn't know about this at all. At this moment, he only wanted to get the sacred eye quickly and leave with Bai Qi and the others. After all, his time was limited. He wasn't stupid to waste time in this place. To Lin Rei, time was more precious than anything else. Kacha. Another chain broke. At this moment, only the chain on his hands was left. He would be able to completely store the sacred eye. At this moment, just as Lin Rei was getting excited, the system, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke. "Kid, hurry up, or the jade pendant on the altar will run away." What? Run away? He was confused. He was a little confused by the system's sudden information. It could even be said that he was a little confused. Go back and look at the altar. That thing is good for your cultivation. If it runs away, I won't care. Anyway, I've already told you. As for whether you want to listen or not, it's up to you. After saying this, the system fell silent again. In response to the system's words, Lin Rei rolled his eyes. He listened to the system's words while adding the illusory spirit blood fire. He turned his head and looked at the altar. This is... Turning his head, his eyes fell on the altar. At this moment, on the altar, a purple jade pendant was slowly moving in another direction as if it had grown legs. This scene fell into Lin Rei's eyes. Suddenly, Lin Rei was stunned. The only thing that came to his mind was, what's going on? It's become a spirit. Is it F*King playing with me? F*CK. What does this mean? He opened his mouth and nagged, but his face was full of an interesting smile. Lin Rei was very interested in a jade pendant that could move by itself. Thud, thud, thud. As though it could sense Linli's amused gaze, the cub sped up even further. As it sped up, a series of thumping sounds could be heard. Kacha, kacha. In an instant, 2 strange sounds were heard. The sacred eye was completely unsealed. Suddenly, a terrifying energy appeared in an instant. The energy was full of madness, and it made them want to surrender. F*CK. The moment this energy appeared, Lin Rei was stunned. Then, his face turned pale and his heart jumped. He immediately retracted his gaze and circulated all his cultivation, fully displaying the devouring heaven end. Huff. Puff, suddenly, the devouring heaven end was fully displayed. Dozens of wash-basin-sized whirlpools appeared in front of Lin Rei. With the increase of power, the dozens of whirlpools under Lin Rei's continuous catalysis finally merged into one. Then, a huge whirlpool took shape, and a terrifying devouring power appeared in an instant. Suddenly, in the entire space, everything that could move began to rush toward the whirlpool in front of Lin Rei at full speed. The sacred eye, which had released a powerful aura before, felt this aura. The aura it released was like an injured rabbit at this moment. It was no longer as strong as before, and it even seemed to want to escape in an instant. As for the sacred eye, Lin Rei did not dare to let it out of his sight for a moment. When he felt the sacred eye's intention to escape at this moment, his face was suddenly filled with a cold smile. Huh, trying to escape? Didn't you want to rush over and take over my body just now? Did you want to take over my body? Why, don't you want it now? It turned out that after the sacred eye was completely released from the seal, it felt that Lin Rei's cultivation was weak and wanted to devour and possess him. However, it did not expect that a weak cultivator could use the devouring power that shocked and even made it tremble in fear. At this moment, it was afraid. The sacred eye was afraid. It wanted to escape from this place. Without the restriction of the seal, it would be easy to escape from this place. However, when it felt the suction force from the whirlpool, and at the same time, the suction force was firmly locked in place. It was already impossible for it to escape when it wanted to. No, no, I am Xiongqi. You let me go, and I will promise to give you my inheritance. How about that? At this moment, the sacred eye opened its mouth, and the first thing it said was to tempt Lin Rei. Xiongqi. Hearing the sacred eye's words, Lin Rei was stunned. He knew about Xiongqi. It was an ancient ferocious beast that could swallow the sun and the moon. It was a king among the ferocious beasts. If it had been anyone else, they would have agreed immediately after hearing this. Unfortunately, the person he had met wasn't an ordinary person, but Linli, who had a system. Moreover, Pai Xiu was also a ferocious beast and was much stronger than Xiongqi. If he wanted the inheritance, Lin Rei believed that Pai Xiu would give it to him. So, looking at the sacred eye, Lin Rei sneered. His expression was full of contempt and disdain. So what if you are Xiongqi? It is just a dead thing. Do you think you are strong? Do you think your inheritance is important? Do you think I care? What? Seeing the look of disdain on Linli's face, Xiongqi was stunned. He was stupefied. He had never imagined that the person in front of him would be like this, so unexpected. Such a headache. Moreover, the inheritance was its only bargaining chip. If it did not care about the inheritance, then, come on. As he spoke, the suction force grew even stronger. Of all the things you shouldn't have done, the only thing you shouldn't have done is try to devour and possess my body. So, disappear. Don't worry, I will not let you die so easily. I will erase your consciousness. After all, your sacred eye contains the essence of your life. The energy inside is enough to make me a saint. Xiongqi did not want to say anything to the person in front of it. It no longer thought of itself as a ferocious beast. Instead, it was more similar to this person in front of it. I beg you. I beg you, don't. I don't want to. I don't want to disappear. Please don't do this. Begging for mercy. At this moment, the only thing Xiongqi could think of was to beg for mercy because he had no other choice. Without a physical body, although his spirit was the essence of his cultivation when he was alive, his strength was still declining. Moreover, from the vortex that Lin Rei used, he felt the aura of death. He knew that if he was devoured by this resentful self, then, only death would await him. Ha! Don't you think it's too late to beg for mercy? Listening to Xiongqi's pleas, Lin Rei sneered and gradually became disdainful. Halfway through, Lin Rei did not stop. Instead, the devouring force continued to increase, little by little, Xiongqi was now very close to the devouring vortex. As long as he exerted more force, the Pai Xiu would be sucked into the vortex and his purpose of coming here would be completely over. Come on, don't resist. You have to leave in the end. After saying that, a strange seal appeared in an instant and a blood-red flame appeared instantly. Finally, after jumping a few times on the tip of Lin Rei's finger, a hair-like needle appeared on the tip of Lin Rei's finger. I hope this consciousness destroyer formed by the illusory spirit blood fire can completely erase Qiongqi's consciousness without destroying the sacred eye. No. No, I don't want to disappear. I don't want to. Qiongqi, who could feel the strangeness of death from the needle, roared. Swish. He moved. The hand that had compromised with mind annihilation instantly waved toward the sacred eye that was close at hand. At the same time as Lin Rei swung his hand, the consciousness destroyer rushed out and rushed into Qiongqi's mind. Ah! Qiongqi let out a painful roar. But, as time passed, the roar became weaker and weaker until it finally disappeared completely. The sacred eye was completely lifeless. The sacred eye, which was struggling fiercely, had completely calmed down. It floated in midair and looked around in confusion. Looking at the changes in the sacred eye, Lin Rei smiled. Isn't this better? You even forced me to use the devouring sky end. Really? Knowing that Qiongqi's consciousness was completely destroyed, Lin Rei heaved a sigh of relief. He waved his hand and a hand formed by spiritual energy instantly grabbed the sacred eye. With a thought, he kept it in the system. Phew, after doing all this, Lin Rei couldn't help but let out a long sigh of relief and revealed a relaxed smile. Don't rest. Hurry up and replace that thing. Then we'll leave. There's nothing left for you to stay here. Just as Lin Rei was about to relax, the system's voice suddenly sounded. In an instant, Lin Rei's body tensed up and he nodded subconsciously. Got it. Chapter 833. At this moment, the violet jade-like eye had already reached the very edge of the area, and was about to fall to the ground. Looking at it, Linley smiled, then took a step forward and instantly arrived next to it. Looking at it, he spoke. He looked at it and said, "Little guy, I won't mistreat you if you follow me." As he spoke, his divine consciousness entered the system and began to search for an item that could replace the jade eye. Previously, he had said that he wouldn't break the array here, so Lin Rei kept his word. At this moment, rows of heaven and earth treasures appeared in front of Lin Rei in the system's storage basket. Beside each heaven and earth treasure, there was a list of their names, uses, and what they were used for. This list only appeared when the system was upgraded to LV3. He stared at the storage basket and scanned the heaven and earth treasures on it, his face full of worry. Which one should I choose? This array has the ability to seal. What kind of heaven and earth treasure can be used to replace it? Thinking about this, Lin Rei felt troubled. All the things here were treasures of Lin Rei's collection. Each of them was priceless. Any random item that fell into the god realm would be an existence that would set off a reign of terror. The balance chain had the ability to seal, but, if he were to replace the jade eye, the falling rain would be a little too ineffective. The Sorcerer's Pagoda, the most valuable treasure of the Sorcerer's tribe. It can seal powerful spirits, so it must have the ability to seal. It's an item sought after by all the realms. TSK, no, it's too valuable. Looking at the heaven and earth treasures, Lin Rei either felt that they weren't qualified or were too valuable. They didn't fit Lin Rei's thoughts at all. Wang, however, just as Lin Rei was having a headache, Wang's sound came from the side. The sound was so loud that Lin Rei was shocked and turned his head to look. He saw a Tian Min appear before Lin Rei's eyes. It emitted a faint blue light, and at first glance, it gave people a sense of loneliness. Tian Min? Lin Rei was startled after seeing the strange appearance of Tian Min. Tian Min was no ordinary object. It was a sword, an incomparably sharp treasured sword. It was an existence at the quasi-sage level. Moreover, in this Tian Min, there was the divine soul of a giant beast. Although its name sounded nice, it was undeniable that it was a ferocious sword that killed decisively. It was bloodthirsty, and blood would be spilled when it was unsheathed. However, it was also because of the effects of Tian Min that Lin Rei was puzzled. Why would an ominous sword without any sealing ability be humming at this time? He really didn't understand. No matter how he thought about it, Lin Rei could not understand why a ferocious sword would willingly become the eye of a formation. You want to become the eye of the formation here? Although Lin Rei was certain in his heart, he still couldn't help but ask. Wang. Wang Wang. Upon hearing Lin Rei's question, Tian Min buzzed a few times as if it was saying, yes, I also want to become the array core here. Please agree, Master. Damn, it really is true? After receiving confirmation, Lin Rei was stunned for a moment. Then, he smiled bitterly. Sigh, I originally wanted you to become that person's weapon and follow him into the Jotian City to make a name for yourself. This. Although he felt a little regretful in his heart, since it had agreed, Lin Rei had nothing else to say. Alright. Although there was a slight flaw in letting Tian Min become the array core, in the end, Lin Rei still nodded in agreement. Since you want to become the array core here, this sovereign agrees. After saying that, he reached out and sucked Tian Min. Tian Min instantly disappeared from the storage basket. When it reappeared, it was naturally tightly held in Lin Rei's hand. When the sword entered his hand, a shocking sword aura instantly rushed out. The humming of the sword instantly rushed out from Tian Min and resounded through the space. Tisk, tsk, tsk. Good sword, but... what a pity. After sighing with regret, his gaze fell on the purple jade eye with determination. Looking at the purple jade eye, Lin Rei smiled slightly. Then, he reached out and activated the devouring sky hand. In an instant, he rushed into the magnetic field around the jade eye. He grabbed the jade eye in one hand. The moment he picked it up, his other hand rushed into the magnetic field at a speed invisible to the naked eye and replaced the jade eye. The moment the jade eye was replaced with Tian Min, the entire array on one side violently shook. Cracks appeared under Lin Rei's feet as if it was about to collapse in an instant. However, Lin Rei's actions were fast. After the replacement, the array immediately started operating again. However, the level of the array seemed to have dropped a little at this moment. It fell from the original Saint level to the current Saint level. Hee hee. There was a smug look on his face and his heart was filled with a sense of accomplishment. However, when he felt that the array's level had dropped, Lin Rei's heart was filled with regret. Tisk, tsk, tsk. What a pity. A perfectly good Saint-level spell formation was turned into. With that, Lin Rei did not continue. Because of the drop in the array's level, Lin Rei always felt a little guilty. A sense of guilt welled up in his heart. Suddenly, the jade eye in his hand suddenly emitted a cold aura, instantly swallowing up the guilt in Linley's heart. Linley was naturally able to sense this anomaly very clearly. Linley was overjoyed. Lowering his head to take a look, he raised his hand, only to see a violet jade eye lying quietly in his palm. At this moment, the jade-like eye emitted a faint purple light that enveloped Linley's palm. At the same time, there was a strange coldness that constantly emanated from the jade-like eye and continuously entered Linley's palm, causing it to spread throughout his entire body. This energy only made Lin Rei feel comfortable and warm. There was not a trace of discomfort. What exactly is this jade eye? It can absorb people's emotions. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. He could not help but sigh at the jade eye's ability. Ah, I told you before that this thing is useful to you. Moreover, it is a complete treasure. You must not let someone stronger than you obtain it. Otherwise, the world will be in chaos. Suddenly, just as the system was sighing, the system suddenly spoke, catching Lin Ray a little off guard. Hiss. Hearing this, Lin Ray could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. His face was filled with shock and confusion. He was shocked that the system had placed this jade eye in such a high regard. He was also confused because he could not understand how this jade eye could, as the system said, create chaos in the new world. Heh, don't doubt me. This thing really works. The system could read Linley's mind and laughed. If not, you can inject this blood essence into the jade eye. Then you'll know if I'm telling the truth. Although he still did not believe it and felt that this was a trap, but subconsciously, Lin Ray used all his strength to force out a drop of his essence blood. Finally, it fell on the jade eye. Boom, rumble, suddenly, the sound of thunder resounded through the sky. Even Lin Ray, who was halfway up the mountain, could hear the rolling thunder outside. Damn, it can't be. Hearing the sound of thunder, Lin Ray was startled. He looked up at the sky in confusion. Unfortunately, this was a spell formation space. Looking up was the spell formation. Press the jade eye to the center of your forehead. At this time, the system spoke again. Oh. Although he knew that this could be a trap, he still listened to the system and pressed the jade eye to his forehead. A roar resounded through the entire spell formation space. His face was full of proof. Then, with a plop sound, he knelt on the ground. He pressed one hand to his forehead and the other to the ground. His face was pale and ferocious. He looked like an evil spirit of the world, causing people to tremble in fear. How? How can there be so much information? It's like a tidal wave, surging towards my Bohai Sea. At this time, Lin Ray spoke with difficulty. His voice was full of shock and disbelief. However, the pain was real. It came from his soul. It came from his head. Bear with it. Just as Lin Ray was in unbearable pain, the system's voice rang in his mind. The voice was full of expectation. It was as if it already knew about this beforehand. What? What's going on? This thing is. His eyes were swollen with pain. It was as if an ice blade had slashed across his eyes. This is a kind of eye technique. I originally thought that this kind of technique no longer existed in this world. But just before, when I felt the jade eye, I already knew that this thing still exists. As it spoke, the system seemed to be excited and spoke faster. As long as you can possess this eye technique, then, it is equivalent to you possessing the seal. Bear with it. This pain is only temporary. As long as you get past this hurdle, you will gain endless benefits. After saying that, without waiting for Lin Ray to speak, and before Lin Ray could ask any questions, it disappeared without a trace. F***ck, I knew that you were up to no good. As expected, I was tricked again. Although the system said that it was chasing after him, in the end, wasn't it still painful? But, however, to be able to make the system so excited, and to think so highly of it, Lin Ray was still secretly looking forward to it. Although it was painful before, as long as he got it, Lin Ray didn't feel that it was a bad deal. Hiss. But, it really hurts. If the pain of the soul isn't what I'm looking for, then, thinking about this, Lin Ray closed his eyes and struggled to support his body. He sat cross-legged, and his thoughts instantly entered his mind and began to explore the information that entered his mind. Eye Seal, also known as the Eye of Seal. Once the Eye of Seal is used, all seals in time will become illusory and disappear like bubbles. The origin was unknown. The only thing that was known was that the first person who possessed the Eye of Seal was a supreme being who could seal everything in the world in the blink of an eye. In the dragon sky, there was always a person who possessed the eye of seal who could seal everything in the blink of an eye. It was the strongest eye technique of time. Hiss, after reading this information, Lin Rei couldn't help but gasp. His face was full of astonishment. The first person who possessed the eye of seal was a supreme being who could seal everything in the world in the blink of an eye. F***ck, this kind of strength. How strong must he be to be able to do this? However, compared to this, Lin Rei was more interested in the dragon sky. What exactly did the dragon sky refer to? World? Or space? Perhaps it was the name of a person or the existence of a secret realm. The pain continued, but facing the question that he wanted to know, this pain was nothing. System, come out and tell me what the dragon sky mentioned in the jade eye means. System? Come out? Answer my questions. He roared at the system, but in the end, it was like a yak entering the sea. There was no reply. After half an hour, the system was still silent. Regarding this, Lin Rei understood that the dragon sky was an existence that he couldn't know about for now. Just like that, the system still didn't reply. Lin Rei gave up on asking and chose to remain silent, silently accepting the information that was transmitted to him by the Eye of Seal. Time passed bit by bit. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. At this moment, Lin Rei was sitting cross-legged in the spell space. His entire body was filled with a strange aura that made one's heart palpitate. Phew, suddenly, Lin Rei exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His lips moved and then his eyes slowly opened. Wang, a ray of light shot out from the corner of his eyes and shot towards a spell formation not far away. Walala! Walala! Suddenly, numerous purple chains rushed out and began to extend. They began to climb upwards. Hee hee. Seeing this happen so suddenly, Linley was startled. But then, a smile appeared on his stunned face. Although I have just finished accepting the Eye of Seal, I have already reached the beginner realm. Although it is the lowest of the 9 realms, but, this is enough. After receiving the inheritance of the Eye of Seal, the information showed that there were 9 realms in the Eye of Seal. They were Beginner Realm, Nuance Realm, Small Success Realm, Familiar Realm, Meson Realm, Great Success Realm, Pinnacle Realm, Complete Realm, and the never-before-seen 10th level, Pure Realm. Of course, because no one had ever succeeded, the Eye of Seal was divided into 9 levels. The so-called 10th level was abandoned. It's time to go out. The purple light in his eyes disappeared and returned to normal. Then, he stood up and looked up. The corners of his mouth curled up into a smile. Then, he used the earth burrow technique. Both of his feet kicked off the ground and he jumped up. Then, he disappeared from the space of the spell formation. At that moment, at the peak of the mountain, Bai Qi and the others who were waiting for Linley and the others were seated cross-legged. Their bodies were surrounded by a formless barrier, and they were quietly cultivating outside the barrier. Whoosh! At this moment, a figure rushed out from the mountain and landed not far away from Bai Qi and the others. Heh, it must have been hard on them. Looking at Bai Qi and the others who were cultivating, Lin Rei smiled. However, just as Lin Rei was feeling slightly guilty, Red Lotus, who was cultivating, felt something strange. She withdrew her aura and stopped cultivating. Then, she opened her eyes and looked up. Young Master. At this moment, the person Red Lotus was looking at was their young master, Linley, whom they had been worried about. Chapter 834. Seeing Red Lotus suddenly awaken, Linley was startled. Then, he regained his composure and nodded towards her. Laughing, he said, "Right. I acquired a few things inside. Naturally, this trip to the Qiankuan sect is over. So, hearing this, Red Lotus nodded, understood. I will wake Bai Qi and the rest up now. She then closed her eyes and sent a message into the minds of Bai Qi and the rest. Wake up. The young master has come out of seclusion. We have to go back. Huff huff. Suddenly, as soon as Red Lotus finished speaking, Bai Qi and the rest retracted their auras and stopped cultivating. When they opened their eyes, they were filled with joy. Raising his head, he looked at Linli. When he saw Linli standing not too far away, smiling calmly at them, Bai Qi was startled. He hurriedly rose to his feet and bowed respectfully. Bai Qi pays his respects to the young master. Kuegong, Ming, Tianyun, greets the young master. With Bai Qi taking the initiative, everyone stood up and bowed respectfully to Lin Rei. Looking at them, Lin Rei was surprised. Then, he smiled, all right, there are no outsiders here. You don't have to do this in the future. He is my trusted aide. This is an order. Remember. Yes. After hesitating for a while, Lin Rei did not have much hope for them to change. After all, they had been deeply imprinted in their minds by the system. Let's go. The matter here has been resolved. It is time for us to leave. Looking at everyone, Lin Rei said. Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Then, their faces were filled with hesitation. This was especially so for Bai Qi. He wanted to say something but stopped. How could Linli not know the expressions on everyone's faces, as well as Bai Qi's attitude? Looking at him, Lin Rei said, "What's the matter? If you have something to say, just say it. How can you still be called the god of war if you're so wishy-washy?" Hearing those words, Bai Qi froze for a moment before nodding his head. Young master, it is true that we destroyed Qiankuan sect. However, Qiankuan sect is a huge sect with a long history. Now that the sect has been destroyed, their scripture depository and their heritage. I have never seen them before, so, when Bai Qi said this, Lin Rei was stunned and speechless. He had thought that it was something big, but it turned out to be this. However, Bai Qi's words were not without reason. Furthermore, he also wanted to see just how deep the foundations of this ancient sect were. Furthermore, even if it wasn't for himself, for the sake of the sect, there was still a need for him to check out the resources of the Qiankuan sect. Thinking about it, Lin Rei nodded and said, "Okay, since that's the case, then go. Remember, if you find a dangerous place, you must not act on your own. Everything must be done under the condition that you ensure your own safety. Do you understand?" Yes, everyone's expressions were filled with excitement. Using their cultivation bases, they leaped into the air and sent out their divine senses, each of them rushing in a different direction. "TSK, I'm looking forward to it." Looking at the expressions on everyone's faces as they left, Lin Rei chuckled. His consciousness flickered as he spoke to the system, "Come out and eat some instant noodles. Where is the most likely place for the hidden genius of Qiankuan sect to appear?" Ding! "Yes, master." At this time, the system did not appear, but the sound of the system notification appeared. Ding! "Beginning scanning, please wait, Upon hearing the system notification, Lin Rei was taken aback. He nodded his head and stood on the spot without moving. However, he didn't stay idle as he extended his consciousness and enveloped the entire Qiankuan sect. From the 9 heavens to the 9 hells, as long as it was within the range of Lin Rei's consciousness, even an ant that a child wouldn't be able to detect would be clearly visible in Lin Rei's mind. Time passed by slowly. From the deepest part of Qiankuan sect to the entrance of Qiankuan sect, Lin Rei scanned the entire place. But, to Lin Rei's disappointment, he couldn't find a single clue about the location of the treasures. In fact, Lin Rui couldn't even detect the slightest movement. Towards this, Lin Rui's mind was filled with doubt. He believed in his own consciousness. But now, he was starting to doubt it. At this moment, Lin Rui seemed to have forgotten that the system was still scanning. But, just as Lin Rui's brows were furrowed, the system notification rang in his mind. Hearing it, Lin Rui's heart leaped with joy. Ding! Discovered a strange area. It is emitting a dense amount of spiritual energy. Initial suspicions are that it is where Qiankuan's sect keeps their treasures. Oh! Hearing this, Lin Rui was overjoyed. His voice became urgent. Where is it? Quick, tell me, where is it? Ding! About 10,000 meters away from the entrance of Qiankuan's sect, wait for a moment. There is an indistinct sealing spell over there. It is of the honorable grade. If Master goes there, you can break it with a wave of your hand. Err. Hearing the system notification, Lin Rui was stunned. But thinking that he had already left the location of the treasures, he didn't have a chance to do so. Alright, that's it. Lin Rui wanted to cut off the connection with the system and rush towards the direction indicated by the system. Whoosh, his figure shot out and flew towards the direction of Qiankuan's sect. His speed was extremely fast. But just as he took off, the system notification rang in his head. Ding! Searching for treasures in Qiankuan's sect. 1 million exchange points will be deducted from Master. Deal? As soon as the system notification rang out, Lin Rui staggered and almost fell from the sky. At this moment, Lin Rui's face turned slightly sour. He felt as though he had been cheated. He didn't expect the system to do this to him. Really, ding. Deal? But at this moment, the system notification rang out again. He wanted to refuse, but, as soon as he thought about the consequences of refusing, the possibility that he would be wiped out or have his life force reduced, Lin felt a sense of powerlessness fill his heart. In the end, the helpless Lin Rui could only nod his head in agreement. Alright, deal, ding. 1 million exchange points have been deducted. With that, the system fell silent, as though it had sunk into a deep silence. Lin was speechless at this, but since he had already paid so much, if he didn't find the treasures in Qiankuan's sect, he would have suffered a huge loss. And Lin Rui wasn't someone who would let himself be taken advantage of. Calming himself down, he disappeared in a flash. By the time he reappeared, he was already 10,000 meters away. After a few flashes, Lin Rui arrived at the location indicated by the system. He landed on the peak of the mountain. Looking at the beautiful scenery, Lin Rui chuckled. This bunch of old fogies sure know how to choose a place. To think that they wouldn't leave their treasures in the sect. Instead, they would place them in such a beautiful place. Respect. Here, there were mountains and rivers. The scenery was picturesque. It was simply a good place to retire. Humph. Scram. You made yours truly lose so many exchange points. If I don't get rid of all of you this time around, I'll have suffered a huge loss. After saying that, he didn't waste any more words. His divine sense instantly rushed out and shrouded the entire mountain under his feet. Just as his consciousness covered the mountain, Lin Fan sensed spiritual energy that was much denser than the outside world seeping out from the waist of the mountain. Sensing this, Lin Rui chuckled. His eyes flashed as he came to the place where the spiritual energy came from and sensed it with his heart. After closing his eyes for a few minutes, Lin Rui finally opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with panic as he smiled. Hee, let's see if I can't find you this time around. Lin Fan raised his hand and clenched his fist. Channeling his cultivation base, he channeled his peak middle ultimate god cultivation base into his fist. Ha! Lin Fan shouted and punched towards the place where the spiritual energy seeped out from. There were two ways to deal with formations. One was to find the eye of the formation, but that would take a lot of time. Of course, the other way was to break it with brute force. That way, it would be much faster. Of course, only those who didn't know how to deal with formations would do that. At this moment, Lin Rei chose the second way because he didn't want to waste too much time here. Moreover, since the spiritual energy seeped out from this place, it meant that there were cracks in the formation. If he punched this place, the final result would be the formation breaking. Bam! A thunderous boom could be heard as his lightning-fast punch smashed into the mountain. However, at this moment, a strange scene occurred. Given Linley's power, there was no way this mountain would be able to withstand such a powerful punch. But now, it was completely undamaged. Quite tenacious. Seeing that the formation was still intact, Lin Rei was stunned. He raised his fist again and punched the place where he punched with all his might. Bam! 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 Next, a loud bang was heard. The second punch still didn't break the formation. Lin Rei started to bombard the formation like a storm. Punch after punch rushed forward. It didn't take long, only a few minutes. Within a few minutes, he punched 100 times. Crunch! A strange sound suddenly rang out. Linley was delighted by this, and his heart was filled with joy. You can't take it anymore. Since that's the case, let me give you a fatal blow. With that, he swung his sandbag-sized fist and punched with all his might. Crack! Boom! It was broken. With this punch, the formation protecting the mountain was finally broken. However, the moment it was broken, a terrifying spiritual energy rushed out. The spiritual energy was 100 times denser than the outside world. Damn! Feeling his body being cleansed by the spiritual energy, Lin Rei's body felt light and comfortable. Come, let me see what's here. With that, he extended his divine sense. Without the obstruction of the formation, it didn't take long. Very quickly, Linley found the entrance to the palace. At the foot of the mountain, a door appeared. It wasn't there before. Looking at the door, Lin Rei was delighted. In a flash, he appeared in front of the door. Open! Open! With a simple punch, the door was broken, and the entrance appeared. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and entered. Linley's speed was extremely fast. He believed that as long as he had a physical body, there would be nothing here that could harm him. Moreover, his divine sense was always out. If there was any danger, he would be able to detect it in advance. The cave was very deep. After a step, Lin Rei arrived in front of a mountain gate. Looking at the door, there was an ancient aura. On it, there were some mysterious and ferocious beast diagrams. Looking at the beast diagrams, Lin Rei was stunned. He didn't recognize any of the beast diagrams on the door. Moreover, he was sure that there wasn't a single beast in the entire God realm. If that was the case, the only place Lin Rei could think of was the Saint's world. There wasn't a single beast in the God realm or the immortal world. Other than the Saint's world. Lin Rei couldn't think of any other place. Just you wait. I'll destroy the Qianquan sect in the Saint's world sooner or later. When the time comes, I'll grab the head of the Qianquan sect and ask him why he's always going against me and why he's looking for the purple bloodline. Break for me, a simple, crude punch. Without the key, Linley could only use brute force to deal with it, even though the suddenness of the punch was extremely, boom, in the next moment, the moment his fist landed on the door that was engraved with beast diagrams instantly exploded. Suddenly, the door burst open, and spiritual energy even denser than before gushed out. Lin Rei could confirm that this was where the Qianquan sect hid their treasures. Stepping through the door, Lin Rei was greeted with the sight of a huge palace. Furthermore, Lin Rei was sure that this palace was at least 2 to 3 times bigger than his own palace in the Xuanzong sect. Within the palace, there was one pillar after another. However, to Linley's astonishment, these pillars weren't made of stone. They were all made of sky sandstone. This sort of stone was extremely hard and very hard to find. Yet, they were made into pillars here. Lin Rei couldn't help but wonder how deep the Qianquan sect's foundations were. See. That's, moving away from the pillars, Lin Fan's gaze landed on a throne not far away. The throne was blue in color, and it was sparkling with a light. F***CK, Chaotic Heaven Mysterious Jade? This. Chaotic Heaven Mysterious Jade. This was an extremely rare material for smithing. Even though it was made of jade, it was extremely tough and beautiful. Grade. In terms of smithing materials, it was comparable to holy grade materials. Even Linley, who had the system, couldn't help but sigh in amazement when he saw all of these items. Any one of these items would be enough to start a war in the God realm. Hurry up and keep them. With these items, the system might be able to level up to level 5 in no time. By then, I'll be able to unlock some unimaginable functions, and I'll regain my memories. Just as Lin Rei was gasping in shock, the system suddenly spoke up, its voice filled with excitement and nervousness. What, memories? Could it be? Hearing this, Lin Rei froze, his heart filled with regret. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.